Good evening, Reds. This is your host, Jarvis Corner, and this is MUC Realist TV and Jarvis's Corner. With me tonight, I have Stu Woolley, Tom Journalist 1, and Football Power Hour. We will talk about what's going on with Bruno, how we will do without Bruno, and we will talk about the game, the win against Brentford, and the latest news. So stay tuned, and we will be back after the intro.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to...
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Tonight I have, as I said, Stu Woolley, Tom Journalist 1, and Poppy Football Power Hour with me to make a cracking Jarvis's Corner as usual. We will try to keep it to 2 hours, but don't be surprised if we go a little bit longer. You know, when we get going, we never stop. That's just how we do. I see people in the chat. Bauman is here, Stu is here, Jules, big up Jules. Jules is here from United TV. Yeah, this is great. This is great. So, first of all, let's say hi to my co-host and partner in crime, Mr. Stu Woolley. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. The mighty Tipton Town were back in action over the weekend, and I skipped the lads to a famous 4-0 victory. It was quite easy, actually, to be honest. It was really quite
4-0.
easy. Oh, yeah, it was quite easy. We should have scored. A bit like United, really. We should have scored about 8, maybe even 9. We destroyed them, to be fair. But good win. So I think we're sitting third in the division at the minute. So we're having a good season so far.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, it's all good. So new kit this year. The old knee held up, so I was happy about that. So I'm not disintegrated just yet, but the signs are starting to show. And the body, slowly but surely tearing apart. But, can't argue with a 4-0 win. Man United winning as well over the weekend. So, yeah, pretty good.
It's pretty good. 4-0. Okay, yeah, well, that's a decent score. Even at your level, it's not often that you have scores like that.
No, not really. I mean, normally you get draws or 2-1 because the games are really competitive. They're good footballing matches. No real pace in the game, but it's, the passing is crisp, it's accurate, it's quick. And, the only way you get from A to B in our league is by playing football. Not only 40-yard balls for anyone to run onto, because Jesus Christ, there'd be a coronary or a snapped hammy or groin or crikey, gone forever. So you got to play football. So no, we've had a really good season. We had a 6-0 win the other week as well. So we've had a loss to a team called Ensley, but they are very good. I mean, very good. They've got a couple of ex-Forest Green players.
Really?
Yeah.
Played at high level.
Oh God, yeah. There's 2 or 3 ex-pros. 1 or 2 play for England over 50s as well. So yeah, really good team. So we got beat 4-1 to them, but to be honest, we didn't really cover ourselves in glory. We could have played better, but yours truly was missing. He was absent, and that's why we lost 4-1. I think if I'd been there, we probably would have beaten them 4-1. But no, it's all right.
Yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right.
I mean, I turn 55 next year, and I'm still playing. So you've got to be thankful for many things in life, but I'm thankful I'm still there.
Yeah, I have to say I'm so envious of you still playing the game. I played it for 40 years, and I miss it sometime. I
Oh, I
miss it.
love it. I
Like
absolutely love it, Jarvis.
when you sit in the locker room before the games, feeling the tension. You're like strapping your boots, putting on your socks on the right way, always the left first, and then the right. And yeah, you have your rituals. Footballing team, you sit there, you talk, locker room talk for the
Yeah.
game, and you pep yourself up. Everybody in the come on, guys, and we go out like a unit, like a team, and the game starts.
Normally
The
in our
feeling
dressing
is
room, Jarvis.
incredible.
Normally in our dressing room, Jarvis, it's oxygen first. Get as much oxygen on board as you can. Loads of energy tablets, and then get somebody to give you a massage. Because if you don't do that, then by the time you get from the massage table to the dressing room exit, you're screwed. Your hammy's gone. So, no, you're right. We walk in there. We all do our own thing. I get my bag down and I decide which pegs I'm going to wear for the day, what I'm going to go out and warm up in, and then I always change my pegs. So I've got a pair of warm up boots. I always use whatever the turf, whether it's soaking wet, which it was this weekend or whatever. I always warm up in one pair of boots, and then I'll make a decision. Usually between about 3 pairs, what pegs I'll wear, and the peg of choice on Sunday, because we played Sunday morning this week, was was World Cups. Obviously, I mean,
Copa.
No, well, I have my Copa Mundials, but I have the World Cups. So,
Okay.
and my backup studs are Kaisers, but I don't get on with them quite well. My Kaisers, they don't fit me as well as the World Cup. So my Copa Mundials are great, but I usually have in my bag probably about 5 pairs of boots, 5 pairs of pegs. And no, you can just make that choice. So the worst thing you can do at our age, because really, all joking aside, VAR room, boots are massively important at our age, because if it's a bit too hard underfoot, you haven't got the right boots at our age, it can fuck your knees up just like that. So you got to have the right boot. So I have to, this is going to sound so sad, but I've got 4 pairs of shin pads, and I kind of, whichever boots I wear, depending on whether I wear 1 pair of socks or 2 pair of socks or grip socks or not, then I have different pads for that and things of that nature. But one thing, and I might show them one day, maybe over Christmas, one thing I do wear is my Lucky Shreddies. So Tom will remember this, Euro 96, Budweiser, when he walked into a pub, were giving away fucking Y-fronts with 96 on the back. And I've still got mine, and I've been wearing them for fucking years. And they literally are falling apart at the seams right now. They're my footballing shreddies, so I wear those. So I do love it, but I do have my own ritual. Yeah, I do have my own ritual. I do a lot of DP on my knees and stuff of that nature. This is going to sound a bit strange, but I always have a pre-match shower. I like to go on feeling fresh.
Okay.
It's only a little dash of water, but I like to have a pre-match shower, go on fresh, and then I try and have a good game where possible. But no, I will, when I finally have to give up. I'm not quite sure. I'll probably get. I don't know. I don't want to think about it really, because I don't know how I'm going to cope. But of course, I play with a mixed bag on a Wednesday as well, which is good. Yeah, so anything from 18-year-olds. I'm the oldest by 5 years, but I fucking love it on a Wednesday as well. It's 7-a-side on 5G, and that's really good. Do a bit of training on a Monday and a Thursday, as you know. So yeah, so. Yeah,
7-a-side, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do, play 7-a-side.
Yeah, well, 7-a-side. Yeah, the thing is, kids don't know how to play 7-a-side football at the minute. They're very skillful. They're very skillful, but they haven't got a clue on how to play. And so we just pop it off every time they come, racing, with their fucking orgasm face. They can like that, and it's you watch them slide past you.
Yeah.
Fucking, it's embarrassing, really. Absolutely embarrassing. And then knackered as well after about half an hour.
Yeah,
What's
that's
going
the
on
thing.
with you, kid? Too busy vaping, you see.
It's true. It's true.
So,
Tom, how you doing, my friend?
yeah, sorry, Tom. I've been talking too much, mate.
No. Never talk too much. Just talk some life and give us some life stories.
Yeah.
But
Tom,
I'm doing
Tom,
quite
it's
good.
been a while since you played football, or are you still in the game?
I'm not in football. I have a little part in a local rugby team in Sheffield, but that's about it. Rugby was my first love, my first sport. I had played football at quite an amateurish sort of level, but with rugby I got to a couple of the academy ranked teams and everything, and then I got so far. I had a very bad tackle when I was 17 years old. I'd signed up to, well, I can say it anyway. I signed up to the Leeds Rhino Academy, which, if people know the name anyway, with Rob Burrow and Kevin Sinfield, with the charity work that they'd done for the raising awareness of MDMA with the motor neuro disease treatment. That was like their club, and I was a part of the academy rankings when they were on the first team for Leeds Rhinos. Sadly, when I had an academy game once, I had a very high tackle come across. It was a clotheslining tackle, and it completely broke my collarbone, which connected to my left-hand shoulder. And the medical advice that I got was I'd never play professional rugby at the highest level ever again, because no club would touch me because of medical risks because of it. That's why. But as I've got older, it's improved. I can still train. I could still play rugby now if I want to. But the medical advice when I was younger put me out completely. So they said you'll never play rugby at a professional level. But because you've got medical notes and it's on your information, if a club wants to then sign you, they just have to look at your medical notes and they'll put a massive tick through your name and say no, not for us, medical risk. That's one of the reasons as to why. But,
do you know something, Tom? I bust my collarbone, but I broke it when I was really young. I was 9. But I mean, I broke it, and Tommy will love this, pal. I broke it in the best way possible. I was playing Kiss Chase, and I was chasing Emma Smith, and I tripped on a fucking rock I didn't see because I was too focused on fucking Emma. And I went straight over and I went down and it was really, do you know? And Tom, it's true, isn't it, Tom? Breaking your collarbone is not painful, is it? It's just
it's
really
not
uncomfortable.
It's not painful.
It's just uncomfortable, isn't it? Yeah,
it's uncomfortable, but based upon because rugby is a lot more of a contact sport than football is. With what I played with rugby league. The rugby league system with high tackles is completely different to say how rugby union is. Rugby union is you get away with a lot of rough and tough. Rugby league, if you go anywhere above chest level high, you completely wipe somebody out. It can be either a natural disaster or you put them on a layover for months. Yeah. I never got that opportunity to play at the high level, even though I got signed up at the academy ranks. And if I had to define it, at that time when I was playing, if you want me to describe, probably Leeds Rhinos at that time in rugby terms, that's like when you play for, say, Manchester City, Arsenal, or Liverpool right now. They were one of the top teams that was in the Super League system at that time. They're not anymore, but they was at the time when I was in that academy system.
Would you have been around Rob Burrow? Was Rob Burrow kind of coming through?
Yeah, he was. He would
have been your age, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I met him, Stu. I crossed paths with him from the academy building. Him, Kevin Sinfield, Peacock, a lot of the main sort of team, Ryan Day.
I know nothing about Ryan.
Jarvis knows fuck all about it.
I can see his face.
I'm totally blank. I can't name one player, one team, no nothing.
Because
I heard about All Blacks.
Yeah, that's New Zealand Union, Union team, yeah. But no, anybody who knows rugby league would know those names that I've just said anyway. And even Stu knows about Rob Burrow with the coverage that they've had with motor neuron disease and the charity work that they've done for that. But yeah, I crossed paths with him, met the guy plenty of times.
He was quite famous for his height as well, wasn't he? Because he was quite small, but wasn't he probably one of the top players alongside Sinfield at the time?
He was probably. I know he got in football terms they call it the PFA Player of the Year award. Back then, you called it the SLP Player Award.
Yeah.
He won it. He played. Oh, I can't remember the amount of seasons off the top of my head, but he played about plus about 10 seasons. I think he won it about 3 or 4 times. But to even win it once is very hard with the quality of the league that you play in.
Oh God, yeah.
It's not even. People say that football, a men's sport and all this. Listen, play rugby, mate. You won't even fucking hear the half of it. You break everything. Your shoulder bones, knuckles, hands, knees, rotator cuffs, everything. You'll
get on with it, though, didn't you?
Works.
You got on with it, though, didn't you, guys?
Yeah. Listen, I got on with it. I'm one of those lads that I'm up for a bit of a scrap and a bit of a tussle, but
yeah.
Go ahead. You guys, but we have a gift from.
Hold on. Yeah. Let me do it justice. Yeah, that better work,
the
Jarvis.
Gift is me.
You embarrassed yourself last time, so you better get this right. Yeah. Drum roll for Jarvis, everybody.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God!
Oh, for fuck's sake!
This thing. I know why I throw it away. It's terrible.
I'd like to extend my heartfelt apologies there, because that is an absolute disgrace once again from Jarvis, the governor. Come on now, get it sorted. Come on.
I don't know what to do. I have to buy a new one.
You don't have to buy a new one. I'm going to get you one. I'll ship it to Norway.
Yeah. Thank you. You can do that. We have 50 new members from memberships from Rushmano.
That's more like it.
Let's go, Rush. Read them all out. 50. I think we'll skip it. I will thank Rushmano. I'm so grateful. Fantastic. Rushy, big man. We have a lot of famous, familiar names. We have Stu Must Play, Danny B, Gary C, Irfan got a new membership. Must Play, Paul S, Reba McKeer, Neil Driscoll. Who else? There's so many people here. Marty MUFC, John Johnson. I haven't seen John Johnson in a while. The notorious Rashford outer. Vinny, Football Power Hour got a new membership. Leo, Purple Puppet 72, Lee Hammer, Danny B. Yeah, there's so many of you. I can't read you all out.
Did I get one, Jarvis, or what?
Yes.
Did I get one?
No, I didn't see Stu Woolley there.
Fucking hell.
No.
Sure, I'm deeply disappointed. Can't believe it.
Thank you, Rush. Thank you for being a contributor, a legend to the channel. You are the best. Thank you. Poppy, did you catch what these guys were talking about? Rugby.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about rugby?
Actually, yes, I do. I've been to rugby.
Fuck you, Jarvis.
Rugby sevens. It's pretty big where I'm from. I'm from Botswana, as you know. Botswana, Papi, Botswana, da. But it's a very. I'd say it's actually probably the third most popular sport. Where I'm from, and I personally did not play it, unfortunately, but because I was busy playing football. But I love the sport. As I said, I enjoyed the rugby sevens where I got a chance to watch them in Hong Kong, and it's a really, really good sport. Very physical, a lot more physical than football. And also I'm more physical than American football as well, because the contact is real there, and there's not as much protective gear, but earlier, prior to the rugby conversation, I was listening to the pre-match routines, and I was thinking, I was like, what is my pre-match routine? Like I actually just sort of freestyle. I know I always do the hammies. Gotta make sure you warm up and stretch the hammies, and do some vertical jumps. If you hip in, hip out, those stretches. But like it wasn't as regimented and as ritualistic as you were describing it, Jarvis. Because I heard you say left sock on first, and then And like I just think my ritual was just a prayer that, like, all right, I hope I score 1 or 2 or 3 or assist and I don't get injured, and it went as
most footballers are extremely superstitious when it comes to routines, and you have to do your thing before you're going out. Some have to be. I remember we had one guy always had to be the last one out of the locker room, and you have so many insane rituals.
I have to wear number 8 as well.
Oh, Stu, you wear 8?
I have to wear 8. Yeah. I've worn 8 since I was 9 years old, and it's my number. So I would. See, somebody asked me, did I play for Tipton Town Firsts? I've never played for Tipton Town Firsts. Just the vet side of it.
Yeah.
So I did some time in back in the Welsh League and the West Midlands Prem, that type of thing. So that's where I applied my trade. Yeah, well, actually, I struggle with that one, Trev. Putting one foot in front of the other sometimes, pal. It's a tough old ask. It's more like I can just about make.
What's everybody else's favorite kit number? Jarvis and Tom. Like, Jarvis, what's yours?
I never care about the number. I could play with 14, 36, 11, you name it. I don't care. Really.
Wow.
You left.
Whatever number is left, whatever anybody didn't pick. Wow. Wow. What about you, Tom?
Mine was always number 5. Anything that I've always been, that's always my lucky number, my go-to number with anything.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, it always comes up at anything that I do. You put a bit of a bet on or something. 5. It's always been a lucky number for me. I don't know why, but that's it.
69, dude. 69.
The worst number is 12.
Yeah, reserve goalkeeper.
No, 12 or 13. No, you kind of know you're fucked, because that's like the ultimate. You're there, but you're not quite first team material. It's like being the captain of the B team, which happened to me once when I was at school. I was the A team skipper for 4 years, and I dicked about in French. And we got a cup semi-final against the BRJ school, which is our rivals at the time. I was really looking forward to the game, and our school coach always used to put the team up on the notice board so all the girls could go past and say, Stewie's there again, good lad. So I walked up. And I'm with me mates, and they're all going, "You looking forward to the game?" Yeah, no fucking problem. I wasn't in the A-team squad because I dicked around in French. She'd gone and told him, and he put me in the fucking B-team squad, captain of the B-team. So I had to. All my mates were there. Fucking, ripped the piss out of me for ages. I was distraught, absolutely fucking distraught.
Yeah.
See, you see, a lesson to be learned, everybody. Don't dick about in French.
No.
When you're at school. No dicking about when you're at school.
I know Tom can speak a little bit of French.
Bonjour, je m'appelle.
Bonjour.
Vous parlez Tom en français?
Oh, yeah.
Oui. On va faire le podcast en français alors.
Ouais. Tournez à gauche. Tournez à droite. We've all learned that one. Enculé.
Stu learned all the necessary words.
Yeah, I know the necessary ones, yeah.
We have a super chat from Rush Mano. He comes in with a £10 super chat.
Oh, nice.
Gifting, as always. Thank you, Rush Mano. He say, I can't make the Panathinaikos. Isn't it PAOK that's Panathinaikos game on the 7th at Old Trafford? Would any of the panel like to attend along as an official member of the club to pass the ticket?
That's hugely kind, Rushmano. But my lad will be going using my tickets, so he will be there. So thank you for the offer on that one. I appreciate it, but I wouldn't be able to make it.
I can't make it. I'm in Norway, so
Rashmano, if you can get a ticket as well from Boston or New York to that would be highly appreciated.
That's super kind of him, and he's even paid a tenner to tell us.
yeah,
Very
that's
well.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roshmano. But I know a familiar friend of ours who wants to attend that game. I know that the Flying Pig Joe is talking about going to that game, so get in touch with Joe and ask. Maybe he will take care of your ticket.
Yeah, my boy will be there, but thank you anyway, Rashmano.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Roshmano.
thank
You are
you,
so kind. You're so kind.
Yes.
Let's get into the show because we have been chit-chatting for about 25 minutes, so it's time to talk some actual football. Okay, now my computer wants me to restart and update.
Jarvis. The mighty Tipton Town was actual football.
Yeah, okay, but we are here for United. Yeah, I agree. Sorry.
Have a word, will you, Pappy? Have a word. Come on. Damn, I'm going to be resigning at this rate.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about Manchester United.
Let's go.
Away from actual football, back to Man United. Okay. First of all, I want to take you back to one episode that happened in the game, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on that. We saw this one happen. De Ligt got a knee in his head, and strangely enough, Brentford got the free kick from this. I don't know what the referee was on. If he was drinking or whatever, but for me, it doesn't look like a free kick to Brentford. So first of all, why do you think the referee gave the free kick to Brentford? Stu, can you go first? You have an opinion on this, I know.
Yeah, look, it's a really difficult one, that, and my opinion is going to go against the grain, I'm afraid, because De Ligt knows, and the referee knows, that when you duck your head towards a player's foot or a player's appendage, so to speak.
It's more chest, I would say, but
but when you duck your head, towards, well, I'll cover the knee in a minute, but ultimately, when you go in and you duck your head, you're almost trying to. People won't like this, by the way, but you're almost trying to buy a free kick. And if you think about it, you'll understand where I'm going with on that one. Now, that picture tells 1,000 words. I don't know what on earth he was doing with his knee up so high, but I don't quite know what De Ligt was doing trying to get below the ball. To me, it was a very strange incident, totally. So that looks massively bad. That looks like the guy's just trying to injure De Ligt, on purpose by the way that his knee was. But what he's trying to do, actually, Seven, he's trying to jump, or he was trying to jump at that particular time to try and get something on the ball, whether it be chest or whether it be head.
Yeah.
Nobody will like that. They won't agree with me. They'll look at that stunt, think it's a disgraceful tackle. But my question is, what is De Ligt doing going down? If you look at De Ligt and his arm positions, he wasn't trying to jump for the ball at all. He wasn't in any kind of position to jump. And
but the ball came in chest height, and he was trying to head it, and the Brentford player hit it with the knee. You see the ball over their head, so the ball is here.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the problem for De Ligt was he's got to be a lot tougher than that. And if he hadn't ducked his head, he would have got the knee into the chest, and that would have been it. He just got on with it. It's just a collision. Get on with it. You might get a free kick. But
the free kick. Why do you think the referee gave Brentford a free kick?
Because De Ligt was.
What could possibly be the reason for that? Because for me, it's baffling.
Yeah. The only conclusion I came up with was De Ligt moving toward him like that. When you move towards like that, you're moving into a butting motion. You're not. It's not chest to chest. It's not arm to arm. It's not knee to knee. You're moving into a
dangerous play in a way.
Yeah, and of course, don't forget it all happens so fast. By the way, and De Ligt obviously came off worse. But to be fair to De Ligt, he kind of get on with it. You know, and that's what you do. You get on with it in football. It's one of those. I mean, Tom's had a lot worse in rugby, and it just, that picture just doesn't tell the whole story. It just tells a story of pretty much assault. I'm still kind of confused as to how they arrived at that particular, as you quite rightly said, the ball was chest height, but at that particular point, I mean, the picture's a brilliant picture. Whoever snapped that, he got lucky, because it's a great picture. But I'm still quite confused as to how, because they're both completely off balance. Both of them are, you know. De Ligt in particular is tipping forward at that particular time, and he's leaning in, or going to be leaning in to the players. So yeah, look, it's happened to me a few times where I've misjudged a ball in the air, or the ball spun. It happened to me over the weekend. The ball bounced in front of me, spun right over me. I completely wasn't expecting the fly to the ball. I don't know whether the De Ligt had completely mistimed what he was trying to do, and he was trying to make amends by leaning into it. But to me, it's a 6 and 1, half dozen of the other. And I would have been okay with, you know, either way, even if a free kick wasn't given and a drop ball was given. Accidental clash for me.
Yeah, okay, accidental clash. Do anyone else on the panel want to have a say on this, or should I just move on to the next?
It was I kind of hear what Stu is saying, that you know, the still image is baffling. The still image doesn't tell the whole story, because you know, it's either De Ligt is trying to headbutt Kevin Shade.
I can't. I didn't even bother trying to pronounce it.
Yeah, Kevin Shad's knee, like it's a headbutt to the knee. And Sir Alex Ferguson used to say this, like, you know, he could have killed him. Like honestly, you know, I think it just shows, for me, it's just a symbol of like how much of a warrior De Ligt is, and fearless, and he really like doesn't you know, mind putting his body on the line. It's a little bit of Erik Bailly-ish, like in terms of like decision making and sort of putting your body on the line and not thinking about the repercussion.
Reckless.
Yeah, it falls under the category of reckless. So I'm more happy that like De Ligt did not get more than, like, you know, because it could have really been a serious injury, jokes aside. So I'm glad that you know, like you know, he wasn't injured, but it was baffling. It was a head scratcher for me, that why is the foul going to Brentford instead, you know? And there was a lot of things that were baffling in that game, like our medical staff and you know, and many other things. Maybe they drank the same drink before the game. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I really like the fact that we have such a fearless warrior in our defensive line, and also like I like to call him the Butch Warrior. So it's a little bit of a mixture of Lisandro Martinez and the warrior spirit of De Ligt. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that one.
Yeah, we all saw what happened in the end. You know, we started bleeding massively, and I'll go to Tom on this. Tom, we saw De Ligt. He was out on the sideline. The medical staff took care of him. If you look at this picture, you can see in his hair they have smeared on some kind of Vaseline or whatever, and just let him play on. How naive can you be if you are in the medical team of Man United? What's your thoughts on this?
It's not naive, it's just incompetent and impractical. You can't send a football, but just forget for a second this is a sports competition or it's a sports match. How the fuck can you send somebody away and say, okay, we've rubbed some Vaseline to stop the swell bleeding on your head, infringement wise, and just go about your day for however long? Let me just correct people. Vaseline is a protector over skin, and it's not a prohibitor.
Correct.
Prohibition over bleeding, you use bandages. What we call Vaseline for is when you see, say, a big boxing event and you have massive swelling over your eyes or you have cut over your eyes, they use cotton swelling to stop the bleeding, and then they rub Vaseline over it as a protector guard. But it's only a protector guard so long as it doesn't rub off. With De Ligt running around as much as he is and he's going to sweat, that Vaseline ain't going to stay on for long. Put it that way. Anybody who knows the fight game industry with boxing, I know that from particular sport that I played with rugby, where it was used as common practice. But if you have a head injury, you're impractical to play. There was an injury. Somebody put in the comments anyway that were a Hull KR fan, and they went to the grand final game. There was a player from Wigan that one of my friends told me about. I wasn't actually able to watch the game at the time, but he said about one of the star players from Wigan Wanderers when they played the final. He had a massive concussing head injury and he was out cold completely. And what they had to do under rugby guidelines was they have to take them down to the tunnel. They have a medical assessment which can take 15 minutes and you just have to play on. That's it. But in rugby, you can bring an extra player in as a substitution for a concussion injury. That's what they call it. But in rugby, they call it knockout termins. The only thing I'm going to say is medical practice in this case, even when you look at the whole timeline of it, forget the picture for a second, the whole timeline of it, they put a bandage on him 3 times and they couldn't even do that right when they got to the interval of it. That's fucking terrible, guys. And then we all sit here and we say, why we wonder. I've not even seen Malacia play for a year. I wonder why. Sure, he's always in fit or unavailable. I'm not surprised that Mason Mount's his bones made out of fucking candy floss. I'm not surprised with these. I'm really not. If our medical department can't, stop bleeding or stop a cut, fuck me, guys. What are they doing behind the scenes to rehabilitate players, medically wise, or following sports science, or even just the practical guidelines of it? But the fact of under the Premier League guidelines and rules, when people debated this about the goal, why didn't you just take the yellow card and everything? It's the referee's discretion to say, if you've got concussive bleeding coming from any part of your body and it smears onto your shirt, you have to exit the pitch immediately at whatever phase of play it ends at. So if it ends on a corner, a goal kick, a free kick, whatever, a penalty, they have to leave the pitch until it's stopped. The assistant or fourth official then takes the precautionary action, which he did on the touchline with delay, to make sure the medical team stopped the bleeding before he could re-enter the field. But by that point, they'd scored and everything, and we all know what happened from there. But to answer the question anyway, guys, it's just a shambles. And listen, Ineos have changed everything around this football club, mate. This medical department need fucking sacking. These people that they've brought in, Gary O'Driscoll, mate, you're a doctor from fucking Arsenal. How you've scammed your way into 2 big football clubs in the Premier League for nearly a decade, mate, I don't know. When you can't lead your own staff to be able to repair cuts over people. It's terrible.
Yeah, but everybody can make a mistake, but doing it 3 times?
That's what I'm saying, though, Jarvis. It's not a mistake.
That's the thing that's
not
baffling.
A mistake. A mistake's 1 time. 3 times, that's incompetence or impractical. You don't know what you're doing. And it's not even like... I've seen severe cases of this happen in other sports, like what I just said about with the grand final game in the Super League for the rugby, when the guy got knocked out completely. They took him off the field. But after 15 minutes, he had a medical assessment check, guys. It was brought back into the field. The player was allowed to continue. But in football, we don't have those safety precautionaries because it's not a high-contact sport. It's a terrible decision to even let him continue playing when it was happening. So the FA, the PGM and the PGMOL and the Premier League would say it's on Manchester United's failings and their management staff for not substituting him when they had the opportunity to.
Yeah. And we know what happened now leading up to this. The bad thing was we had to take De Ligt off the pitch, and I have more pictures, and this is De Ligt on the corner kicks before the incident. We see De Ligt in his area, straight there. I know, Tom, you have opinions on this with zonal defense, but this is how we set up zonal. I think we have four men inside, or is it 5? Four men inside the box in zonal. 1 takes out the opposition and rest man mark. So it's a mix of zonal and man marking. So we see the Ligt zone. It's in the middle of the box, and this is the picture when De Ligt was off the pitch. You see, he's nowhere near, no one to be seen in this area. So that's the problem, and we know why they scored. So
yeah, but Jarvis, that's our problem. Yeah. That's the players' problem. It's not coaching. It's not whether you take De Ligt off the pitch, that's the player's problem. You know, you have to adjust when you're down to 10 men. You adjust.
Yeah.
So Bruno should have been saying, or Leach should have been saying, or Onana or Dalot. Somebody's got to be in the position where De Ligt would be. That's our issue. This is the problem I've been talking about for years. Our own individual on-field decision-making is diabolical for a bunch of elite professional footballers. Is people going to tell me now they can't count? You know, our players can't count.
Well, it looks like they can't count.
Yeah, I know. This is my point, Jarvis. Our players haven't got the fucking eyes to see that if De Ligt's not there, we must... Because what we do, we zonal hybrid. That's the problem. This is where Tom's got the issue with. We zonal hybrid. So we zonal in one area, we hybrid mark in the other. So we man mark in one particular area, we zonal in another. It's called zonal hybrid. And when you take that player out, then automatically somebody within the team has got to step up and say, right, you know, De Ligt's off the pitch, I'll go in and I'll plug the De Ligt hole. It isn't fucking rocket science, and this is what fucks me off with
100%.
our players. And when you look at that, Jarvis, this is a big fucking eye-opener to all the fans who say, you know, coaching isn't happening at Manchester United. It is, more likely, but these fucking morons can't see in front of their own faces. I talk about the evolution of football all the time, how a game evolves all the time, how it unfolds under your eyes all the time. There's a great example, Jarvis, of what we've been talking about for years now.
But Stu, let's go through this. Let's go through this corner kick, because I took. I'm sorry for the quality. I took pictures of my telly. So, but you can see what's going on, and here you see the area. I think it's, who's that one? It's Casemiro.
Uncle Miro, yes.
Yeah. So he's in that area. So yeah, they are counting. So he's doing his job in a way. But this is the guy who scored. He's number 5.
It's not where he should be, though, is it?
Dalot is marking him. And if you look at Dalot now, this is terrible defending, in my opinion. You see here, Dalot losing his man right away when the corner kick goes. He can't keep up with him. And if you're a defender, you should take a step sideways and block his pathway.
Correct.
You can't let him run in like that. Gain momentum, gain speed, and he will gain height when he jumps up.
Before you play on, go back to that, zoom back in. What else do you notice about that picture?
Well, I see the two Brentford players are moving diagonal to make a block.
And we're covering those. Look at Onana's position. Look at where he's facing. So he's got zero idea what's happening to his left. Neither is Casemiro. Casemiro takes a quick look over his shoulder, which you should do on a corner. If anyone tells you you've got to look at the corner kick, you're wrong. You've got to kind of look both ways. You should always be both ways like that, head on a swivel. Yeah. Casemiro looks left, he will know what's happening. He will know that he's marked. And Nana, if he looks left, it takes a split second. I'm not talking look left like that. I'm talking that. It takes a split second to understand what's happening. And then you can quite easily cover off 5. I mean, Dalot, absolutely. I mean, fucking abysmal. See, Dalot's problem is, if you go back to the original, the guy's already facing where he wants the ball to be. He already knows where the ball's going to go, and he's already facing that way. Dalot's just trying to push him. Instead of going side by side and covering him with his arm like that, which is what you should be doing, he's trying to push him. And all the guy's going to do is do that quickly, and he's in. You've only got to just do that quickly. So Dalot's got to be more switched on in many ways. But again, look at Onana. Onana's position was okay there, but he's still not looking about what's happening in here. Now, you could argue that, he wouldn't normally do that because De Ligt isn't there. But like I said to you before, as I go back on and back on and back on, you've got to make sure that if a player's out the equation, you know what's happening. And none of them are looking. None of them are paying any fucking attention to where the
one
ball...
guy here. Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Sorry, where are we looking? Sorry.
Where are we looking?
He's looking out. that guy is looking out.
Johnny
He's looking.
Evans.
Johnny
It's
Evans,
Johnny
is,
Evans. Johnny Evans.
Johnny
He's the
Evans.
only one.
But if he's
paying
not
attention to
talking,
what's going on.
but if he's not talking, which he clearly isn't, because play it on now, and you'll see the goal.
So this is the third picture. You see his Dallo is here. He can't catch up, and you see he has time. He's all alone. He has a lot of space. Jumps up. The ball is there, and boom, he scores.
Yeah. So go back one to where Casemiro is.
Okay.
So last frame. So look at zoom in on Casemiro.
That's Casemiro there.
So he's jumping, but again, he's got no idea that 5 is coming. And the real key to most of this is Rashford. I think it's Rashford, isn't it? Looking back on the 6 yards to the left of where we are. Yeah,
That
that's
guy.
it.
Yeah.
Didn't need to be there. Doesn't need to be there. It's a wasted point.
Well, Stu, I have to differ with you. Rashford needs to make sure that like he's blocking the. If you remember how Arsenal conceded versus Bournemouth, Christie, like it's a routine where it's a short pass to the near post,
Correct.
and somebody just sort of lays it off. I think it might have been Cook. I can't remember his name, but he just lays it off, and then. So I get why Rashford is there, but for me,
go back to the start. Go back to start again.
I think the
first image.
bigger culprit is really Dallo, because sometimes Dallo this season has had this attitude of like optional defending versus Spurs. We saw that versus Porto, and now it's happening again here, where he's literally touching the man, holding hands with the man who's going to score, and then from there he's just sort of just.
But Rashford is out here now in the beginning, I believe, and he moves in.
Correct.
See here.
So let me be hypercritical. Go back to the original picture. You've got I can't really quite see who that is. I presume it's Martina. No, Martinez.
Bruno, Casemiro.
Bruno.
Martinez is here.
Bruno doesn't need to be there. Bruno can switch with Casemiro. So Casemiro moves into the Delict position. I know what you're saying, Pappy, but if Bruno stands to the right of him, slightly to the right of him, you won't have that near post issue because he should be able to get around him. I know, Pappy, you're right, by the way. I saw the Arsenal issue, and you won't have that. So I'm talking about common sense, really, in terms of what these should be doing and why they should be doing it, because Casemiro was a complete waste of space anyway, because he never once looked left about what he was doing. And that's unfortunately the key. I know he jumped. Sorry, I know he jumped. I'm not saying he didn't jump, but I'm saying that he never understood why he was jumping at that particular area. If he looked over his shoulder and seen what was around him, he may have been able to adjust himself. Look, it's very easy to talk about it when we're looking at it still pictures. It is. And I can tell you from experience.
Sometimes I have to take still pictures just to really analyze and understand what's going on, because everything goes so fast.
Yeah, and I can tell you by experience that when the ball comes in, you are susceptible to taking your eye off the ball, so to speak, and maybe lose your position. But we're talking elite footballers here. This is what I've got to get across.
I mean, guys, even though we're saying about it with the players, bring that first image up that you had, Jarvis, the first one that we had, where you have Dalot on the edge of the box marking the player. This is a prime example of zonal marking and why it is so out of date in modern day football. Zonal marking, and I used this example on the Mourinho show earlier when I jumped on there with him for an hour, when we discussed about zonal marking with the goal that we conceded against Brentford. The only time I've ever known zonal marking work at the highest level of football defensively is when Mourinho beat us with Porto at Old Trafford, and also when he went on to win the Champions League that late that season. When we use zonal marking in modern day football now, you have a 5'11", 5'10" player marking a 6'4" player and just trying to defect the run. Unless you're going to block them or put your back into them, you ain't going to stop that player getting through you. Diogo Dalot, for the athletic player that he might look and the athletic build he gives, he is not going to stop a 6'5" wrecking train coming through and heading the ball. For me, when we first ever used man-for-man marking, all the way back in the first season, how many set pieces can we all remember that we conceded in that game from corners or free kicks? I can't remember hardly any. The zonal marking system only works if you have the same height or body-built players marking on the edge of the box and they follow all the way in. It's never going to work if you have 5'6" or
but this
5'7"
Tom is
players.
the one with the lick. This is the zonal marking with the lick. Then you see now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys inside the box, and this is without the lick.
But Jarvis,
1, 2, 3,
go back
4
to the
guys.
other one.
So we are missing one vital part of our defense. So that's maybe something that I will agree with Stu on the first comment from Stu is they need to count, they need to understand, they need to play with one man less, and you see they take away one of the zonal guys. That's one of the problems.
If you go back to if you go back to the other image they had before with Dillett, right? When you look at Brentford's there, right, you've got 2 players holding off a potential 4 runners into the box. You're going to block 2. You're going to leave Pinnock, who was their danger man who scored from the previous goal, who's the number 5 shirt, by the way, unmarked completely. That's their danger man from the set piece.
There's actually 3 there. You have Licha in behind. I think it's because there's 2 players here.
Licha's in the far box, isn't it?
But there's 2 players here.
Yeah,
okay, even if there's 2 players there, Licha, who's he marking when that ball's just about to be swung in? Nobody. They're marking the exact same player. The one thing that I'm saying, guys, is Pinnock is the danger man that you have to highlight in it, which is the number 5. If he makes a run past and around all of them, Delitz's not looking over his shoulder. The only person who can recover this situation is Johnny Evans. And as you can see from Johnny Evans, he doesn't even know Pinnock's going to make a run because he's looking directly to where the ball's coming in and for the flight of the ball. So what I'm saying here is zonal marking only gets you so far unless you know how to use it correctly. If, for example, you change Delitt and let's say Delo in that situation and he marks the number 4, he's going to know, okay, if the ball's not going to go anywhere near number 4, Pinnock's going to be the danger man. He's going to run in behind. So I know that I just have to retract the run of another player. And Delitz's a centre-back, so he's built and he's brained in that way, so he knows what he's doing. Difference with us is, when you look at the zonal marking system, now, if you move it on one, Jarvis, from the next picture where you've got the little box where he runs into the guiding of it, we are a man down in this situation, a phase of play. If Delitt was in this phase of play, I wouldn't say he's going to be where that box is. I would probably say he's going to be between where the 4 and the 20 is, and he's going to be like a third man. He's going to be bang in front of where the goal is, in front of Onana.
Around here.
Around there. He's not going to be further towards where the actual running space is. He's going to be like the spare man. So any runner that's going to break past Delo or Ericsson, for example,
pick it up.
Is what he's going to pick up. We've lost the player, but the problem isn't that we didn't have an extra player on the pitch. It's just that because zonal marking, if you don't block players off, this is where it fails you, if you don't know how to block people correctly. Whereas if you just go man-for-man marking, guys, and let's say you put Cass on Pinnock or you put, Martinez on Pinnock or somebody just directly on him, and you have a bit of a tussle around with him and that, man-for-man marking, you don't get any space to run onto a ball. That's what it's built for, and that's its purpose. Zonal marking is if you win the ball back, it gives you a more high percentage chance to counter-attack on the other team because you've got spare men who can pick the ball up. That's how zonal marking works from man marking.
Okay.
But a lot of the elite teams, when you look at them now in football, Arsenal don't use zonal marking. Chelsea don't use zonal marking. Pep at City never used zonal marking before. They always use man-for-man marking, and that I just said about with Dillett, they have that spare man who isn't it? The spare man that City always have is Stones. The spare man that Arsenal always has at the moment, or has been anyway, is Ben White. The same man for Chelsea, they used it as that Vigo guy at the weekend when they played Liverpool. They always have that carry spare man, which our spare man in this case is Delitt. If you want to completely rule out that goal, regardless of if you have 10 men or 9 or 11 men, all you have to do is just go man-for-man marking for that one corner and just say scrap the zonal system. You can use it afterwards when you have 11 players. you can't use zonal marking with 10 players. It's never going to work because you lose your spare man. You lose your recovery player. If you use man-for-man marking, that goal doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because Pinnock doesn't have the space to run onto the ball.
But don't you think it was in the 49th minute and 30 seconds, I believe, and there was a lot of things going on. The players were, I think they lost a little bit of focus because of the referee and the reaction from the Ligt and the bench when he had to go off. And if you don't have fully focus on every situation, we will get punished as we did in this situation. And I think the frustration wasn't only on the referee. I think a lot of the players was frustrated by themselves because they lost it for a couple of seconds, and that was enough. And suddenly Brentford scored.
Yeah, but you can argue. You could even argue though when you had the context of like your teammates bleeding persistently and stuff, and you're a man down and stuff. When we played with 10 men against Spurs and they had a set piece against the guys, what did we adapt in that role when we had a set piece coming in against us? We didn't use zonal marking. Go on back and watch the clips and you'll understand what I'm saying and what I'm getting across. The man-for-man marking system is a lifeline that you use if you go down to 10 men. There is not a team at the highest level of football with competent coaches who will advise using zonal marking with 10 men. It can't be done. It cannot be done.
I like that you bring that up, Tom, because for me, the larger question now is like, there will be red cards. There will be moments when we're men down. What does that mean? It shouldn't mean.
But a set piece coach
has the. It shouldn't mean anytime the opposition has a corner kick, it's a goal. Against Man United.
So that's what I'm saying, Pappy. A set piece coach like what we've brought in now will understand or should understand when you go down to 10 men, whether it's from a red card, a player's been taken out of the game, a play for a minute because he's got a head injury, he's got a concussion. When you have those sort of decisions, he has to go to Erik and Hag and say, advise the players to go man for man marking for this one corner. When you get back to half time, you can then communicate that to your players and say that was a one-off. We just had to get to half time, so I had to adapt it from that. My coach, I can't remember what the guy's fucking name is anyway. The coach will then come out and direct it to the players and say, okay, we've got 11 players. We go back to zonal marking if that's the way that they want to use it when they defend set pieces. The fact of that, even with us guys, when we want to use set pieces to our advantage, Brentford, for me, are one of the best set piece drill teams, I'd probably say in the world. Forget the Premier League, in the world. They drill it, they work on it, they're probably one of the best at it. They were that good. Chelsea forked out nearly $1 million just to get their set piece expert out of their football club and join their team. Even though Pochettino had his own coach, set piece specialist, and Maresca's brought his own set piece specialist. They've brought an expert from one of the best clubs who are trained and drilled in that. That tells you something about Brentford. So if they know that United are incompetent not to tell their players to go man-for-man marking when you have 10 players down, and Brentford are supposedly, like I've just said, they're the experts of that phase of play, what do you really think's going to happen, guys? You put your best aerial player in the direct run-in where he has no player marking him, or he has the weakest player marking him, or one of the weakest, in Delo. Okay, just brush off of him, run into the direct space. As soon as you see a bit of space in front of you, pin it, run there, and our player will stick the ball on your head. What happens? Runs away from Delo. See you later, mate. Right straight into open space. There's no recovery player, which would have been Delo. No recovery player because you're down to 10 men, and that's where zonal marking fails you, because man marking cannot fail you with that. You will have a player follow your run, and he will either block your run, he will either take you down and take a penalty, or it just might happen that the ball just fizzles out and goes out of play, which when you use man-for-man marking, there's an 80% probability if a player doesn't connect with the ball, it goes into a touch for a throw-in or a goal kick because it's a shit corner. And that's just the breakdown of set pieces for anybody that wants to know. But Manchester United's coaches should have advised the players, you cannot use zonal marking with 10 men down. It's a basic and standard.
But I believe it, as I said, I think it was so hectic in 9 minutes before halftime. I think there was a lot of things going on, and I think they lost focus a little bit.
And that's the trouble, Jarvis, because what they should have done was take De Ligt off, shoved him straight down the tunnel, got him patched up, brought him out in the second half. And and that's what you should do. You should always do that with a head injury. You get him in, you get him glued
Or take
up.
him off, Stu. Take him off. Just take him out of the game completely.
Yeah, that's it.
Take
Get
him
off.
off. Put
Down
Johnny Evans in the spare man role or
exactly
whoever.
Right.
Yeah.
You play with 10 men and you stop all of that panicking and you should do it. You know, elite teams, I can't believe I keep saying it. Elite teams at that level should know. You get him into the changing room, you get him patched up, you would super glue it, I think, wouldn't you, Tom, and then Vaseline it. So you'd super glue it, Vaseline it, and he's back out for the second half. It's that easy.
What about, for example, if the Ligt just drop down, sit down, and hold his head and just play the clock, in a way.
You can't glue him.
The referee would book him for time. The way that they would do it is they would book the referee
the dark
for time.
art of football. It's about stalling time in the crucial moments to give yourself.
Correct, but if they don't make the decision, Jarvis, if the player doesn't make the decision, the coach has to make it for him. And the fourth official will communicate from the referee to the fourth official and say to Erik ten Hag, you have got to advise your player to remove from the field, or he will be booked and you will be booked for not communicating your players or conducting them. And from there, that's when you see about players get disciplinaries from the FA or managers get fined.
But I think you misunderstood you. I said, what if the Ligt just went down, and sat himself down on the pitch?
It's simulation is what they play down to.
Simulating more of an injury, like bleeding a lot, and
he has to go off anyway.
He has to go off anyway. It's a regulation for a head injury. No. He has to go off regardless.
And you can't glue a head on the pitch. You need to be in the dressing room. That's what they did on a half time, glued his head.
What I meant was to give the team a little bit of time to organize themselves when he sat down for 60 to 90 seconds, I would say. And
the problem is
players aren't built like that. They're not robots, though. They look at one, like a lot of them will look at.
I bet you if there was Atletico Madrid who came in the same situation, they would do it.
Of course they would do it, but in Spain you get away with things like this, Jarvis. In the Premier League, it's fast flowing. Referees in the Premier League, I just want to get play started as quickly as possible. And that's why when you see it now, guys, when you make a substitution, players have to go off at the nearest exit. You can't walk all the way across the pitch. Because what you used to be able to get away with in modern day football, you might have a right winger who's close to where the dugouts are. They'll go to the left wing just so they could walk all the way across the pitch, and they waste 20 seconds of the game. And you can't do that anymore. You get booked.
Sub your captain so he could go.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same phase of play. But even like with Fernandes, for example, when he got sent off against Spurs, what he got told was so he couldn't waste any time. You just vacated the nearest exit. Yeah. They don't do back in the day, about 5 years ago, when VAR wasn't introduced and the rules weren't so strict, you could just walk off and waste 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You could kick off with a referee, and it doesn't make a difference. One of the things that I like from the rules within rugby is whenever there's a simulation, an injury, a phase of play that needs reviewing with the VAR technology that they use in rugby, they stop the timer. The stopwatch stops and the timing stops correctly. When you can use that in football, it's being practiced actually now over in Argentina under their football federation's regulations, where you can stop phase of playing time. And Howard Webb discussed it when he discussed it with Gary Neville and Roy Keane on their podcast show. When he went on there as a guest, he said that they're trialing a lot of different regulations in other national leagues. And then if they reach a certain threshold of progression and success within those leagues, they're going to try and put it to the FA and the Premier League so that they can regulate it for our league. So, for example, you might have it in 3 or 4 years' time where what phase of play that you had with Delay, if he wants to go down, Jarvis, like you're saying, they'll just stop the time. So he's not going to waste any time anyway. There's no point. So if he's bleeding entirely from the head, they'll just say, get off the pitch. Okay. Referee blows the whistle. I'll click the stopwatch. Right. Time's back underway. And that's the phase of play. And then all of this, when people say, why has a referee played 3 minutes extra than he should have done at the end of the game? That doesn't happen anymore. You just get straight to 90 minutes, you play the added time, and that's it. If there's a stoppage in play, you stop the clock. That's it. As soon as the play resumes, you play again. And the same thing, how it would work with advantages, when a player gets wiped out and then they try and play the advantage rule, if an advantage is on, the timer will stay on.
Yeah.
If it doesn't and the phase of play is cut, referee, first thing he does after he blows while he blows the whistle, put the stopwatch on. That's it. Stop it. As soon as they resume play, stopwatch is back on. And that's, for me, when I look at it, football stole the VAR system in from rugby because they saw the success rate of it, of the decisions in rugby. And rugby's a lot harder to find a decision because it's a physical and contact sport than football. They saw the success rate of that and they put it in football. They've now looked at the success rate of simulating play for when there's stoppages in play, and they're now trialling it in other national leagues to then put it in our league potentially. Yeah. The same way when they looked at the blue card, so to speak, rule, where they were going to add a sin bin system into football, that's another system within rugby. You don't have a blue card, you just sin bin, you sideline. That's how it works. Yeah. You're carded. You're out of the game for 10, 15 minutes, you come back in. The blue card system, FIFA laughed at it and said, we're never regulating it at all. UEFA did the same thing. The same thing might happen with the simulating of time. But the difference is, guys, technology can only get you so far. In the same way that you're saying, Jarvis, yeah, they will look at it and say, okay, he's bleeding profusely from the head. But in that phase of play, if he's that bad, the medical team of Manchester United will be fined by the Football Federation for not taking action of their player under their courtesy laws to make sure of his health and safety and his welfare. Yeah. That will be a failure. And for example, God forbid, if Dilly had something later on in his career, details on, and an investigation panel goes in and investigates Dilly's injuries to his head and say it was due to that game or that game was a factor of it, he can liably sue Manchester United for it. He can't sue the Premier League because it's his club that regulates over his health and welfare, not the league. That's how it works. So the Premier League, they can do nothing to help Dilly in that case. If Manchester United don't make the decision, that's on them. And that's unfortunately the pain saying of football is the Football League is regulated by officials. The health and welfare of players and staff is regulated by clubs. And if a club don't want to pull their player out, that's their choice. And that's how federations say it.
Yeah.
But I don't think the rulings are right, guys, but they need to adapt the rules anyway.
They need to adapt the rules. I just want to move on to the next stage, because now we have talked about the injury, the leg thing, the catalyst to the second half. We saw the game. It was we were down 1-0. We played okay, I would say, from the 20th minutes and outwards, but there was something missing: the intensity, the aggression, the the ball tempo was off, so we didn't look good in that first half, even though we had the momentum going from the 20th minute. But something happened. We saw some aggression on the players coming out in the second half. So I don't know, Poppy, what do you think changed in that second half from a tactical point of view? Did you see Ten Hag do any changes, or was it just the players' attitude that changed?
So a little bit of both. I think there was something to be said about Dallow's positioning. That, like, I think in the first half it was harder to see to find Dallow, like especially in our build-up play. Like that sort of just small tweak, like actually feels like it made a big difference, you know, because in the first half for me, I noticed that there was still one major problems in our pressing. Like it's countless times actually Brentford were able to sort of play through our press, especially in the first half. And you could see them progress the ball easily, and that's part and parcel of the disjointed press that we have. As they like whoever is the front like person, whether it's Højlund, like when they press, and if the team is not pressing together as a unit, there becomes all these little holes that like the other opposition can sort of like find and easily just get the ball across. So I think Ten Hag saw a little bit of that, and saw that, okay, we need to be a little bit more organized as a unit. But I don't want to say like there was a lot of tactical switches, because I feel like it has a lot to do with the attitude. The attitude was everything, because the moment the players felt, oh, like this there's a clear injustice going on against us, they really became the bastards that they need to be. you know, and in terms of like our tempo, I feel like it was very lethargic, especially coming from the midfield. Like Casemiro is one of the most like, it's funny because yeah, he was breaking up play, but then like he'd have passes that would be very easy, like, you know, passes to make, and then he like get intercepted, and then sometimes you make the passes. So it was such a in my opinion, like our lack of like being really up for the game was coming from the midfield. It was sort of like a little bit, you know, pedestrian in terms of tempo, and I think in the second half all of that became, you know, different, mainly because of the switch in mentality. Like, all right, we need to be really aggressive, and I wouldn't put it much on tactics per se.
No. Well, what I saw in that second half was our press play changed in a way. We because as you mentioned, we looked off and we were in between when it comes to our press play. I know I talk a lot about building up and press play and stuff like that, but it is what it is when it comes to tactics, and we couldn't quite press in the right way because, you know, Brentford, they split their center back, then they split our first line of press, so it made it easier for them to play in and then out. So they played over us over and over again, our first press line, and we weren't aggressive enough. So there was always a man free dropping down, and we were like standing there looking at them dropping down. We saw Damsgaard, for example, dropping down a lot of the times, receiving the ball, playing it out to the fullback or the center back who went wide, and then they gained control and pushed up to the midfield. So we had to retract and go back. So we lost a lot of our intensity because of this. What I saw in the second half, what changed was especially from our back four. Our two fullbacks was much more aggressive. They were pushing up high. Licha, I think he had the underrated game. If you look back, how good he was in his press play, and you know, when the fullbacks do their job, push up high, it's easier for the midfielders because they don't have such a wide space to cover. They just have to cover the central area, so it's easier for them to push up. So as a team, we were more in balance. So for me, one of the key elements was the fullbacks. When it comes to the tactics of the game, you know, I always like to add this tactical board. I know I bore you with this, but this is our build-up play. We played up with almost like a three. We had one holding fullback and one fullback operating almost as a winger, as Dalot did, moving high up the pitch. So we came with the classical, they call it the MW shape. We have an M here and almost like you can call it like this, call it a W. Okay, so this is the modern style of football, the MW shape, and I think we did much better in this shape, and we operated with almost two number 10s with Bruno and Rashford. And what we did was Brentford tried to press us man against man. They were always aggressive in their press. We played with Onana as the extra right center back, so we had an option. So they tried to isolate us on one side, as the opposition always do when they press the goalkeeper. They press him from one side, try to make the press play on one side of half of the pitch. But we solved it easily with Bruno dropping really deep. When Bruno received the ball, they had to press. We moved up a little bit, and Bruno just passed the ball out, and we were through. So we did this over and over again. We even started with this, I would say, in the 20th minute of the game with Bruno dropping down. But Brentford became aware of Bruno, so they put Jantnell, I believe, on Bruno. Vandenberg was a little bit higher up the pitch. Collins were a little bit more wide, so we had a little bit control on Rashford. So every time Bruno dropped, someone followed him. So it wasn't so easy for Bruno to drop down all the time. But we had a counter move, and the counter move that really impressed me that I haven't seen before is Rashford, who was the other number 10. He became the guy who dropped down to receive pressure, receive the ball, played it out, and suddenly we were through. And this was a new twist from Ten Hag, utilizing Rashford in this way. I don't know if you are aware or if any of you saw this. I have this step by step. If you want to have a look,
Jarvis, you know what you described, don't you?
What the build-up play?
My 3-5-2 system.
I've been talking about basically the 3-5-2 in
weeks. Absolutely weeks. And the reason you've described it is perfect, because single press per player is great. You always want a single press per player. You don't want a double press per player. You always want a single press per player. And I've always said to you, you're talking about Bruno coming to collect it. I've always said Agate will be the perfect position just to take it. Yoro to go past Agate, blah, blah, blah. That's the type of play I think Erik envisaged when we bought De Ligt in and when we bought Yoro in. Maybe not so much, because you don't need Agate to do it, by the way, but you need those three, that triple or that triplet of players to be able to do what you've just described. And and you talk about Bruno coming to take it and then offering the same for De Ligt. This is what we were talking about right at the beginning of the season, if you remember. Why I wanted him to go to a 3-5-2, because I think we're better suited balance-wise as a 3-5-2. You've also got to add in, by the way, a sense of anger that the players came out with in the second half, sense of injustice that the players came out with in the second half. And once you have a system that he wants to do, you've got players that are angry, buy into that particular system, you become a dangerous football team. And what you've just described is brilliant. And I was quite thinking to myself, I'm glad Ten Hag's finally listened to me, because I've been talking about it. All you guys know I've been speaking about it from day one. I looked at the signings and I realised what he wanted to do. Maybe now he will maybe not use this all the time, but he's got an option on where he can do it. And so I'm glad
the option is to actually play Onana as the right-sided centre back. So we actually use Onana as the ball-playing goalkeeper for once. We haven't done this before. So I have seen this the last 2 to 3 games. We are actually using. So we have a couple of patterns. One pattern is Onana in the middle, split the centre backs, push both full-backs up, and play with the 3 from the back, or only 2 fullbacks. The other one is we hold one fullback and push one up, and create, as you say, a 3.
Fans don't like a 3-5-2 because they don't see enough to understand a 3-5-2. So it was brilliant what you just described there. And I must admit, I was having a bit of a wry smile to myself when you're going through it all, because I knew what you're talking about it straight away. As soon as you showed it me, I knew it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't click on with Rashford, by the way, coming to pick it deep. I'll be honest with you.
I will show you this, because this
I didn't see that. I didn't click on Rashford getting it deep, so that's really good. But it's the position is what we're talking about. Not specifically the player, but the actual position. So I was quite.
I want to piggyback off of that, by the way, and say I'm starting to actually see the influence of Onana in our build-up. It's not quite, we're not optimizing him yet as much as we could, but it's starting to sort of slowly show. I remember, like, whenever Brentford pressed us in a 4, Casemiro and Eriksen would wait for a challenge, and then once the Brentford players closed, they would find the pass wide to De Ligt, and it was all just like because of Onana helping to create that numerical.
Because when you have a single press player, that's brilliant. As soon when he comes in, pop it, bang, gone. See ya. And just watch him glide past you and give him a bit of a wave when he goes, see you, mate. Until you walk off, because that's what single press is all about. You want a single press. Do you remember when we got beat 4-0, Jarvis?
Against Palace?
Against Brentford.
Which 4-0?
Yeah. Sorry, against Brentford. How many players were pressing 2? There was 4-on-2, 3-on-1. And that's a nightmare as a footballer at any level to have 3 players coming in at you.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare because you don't know what to do. And that's why Brentford beat us. We weren't ready for it. He wasn't having it this time. Ten Hag. He wasn't having it. He was isolating the press. As soon as you isolate the press, as Jarvis pointed out eloquently, bang, you're away. It's wonderful to see.
Can I throw a bone into this conversation, Jarvis? If
Please
I
do,
may?
please do.
I'm curious, especially what Tom has to say about this, because we saw Licha at left back, right? And I don't know how you guys view this, but Mbeumo to me is one, like he's a good player. He's not like an excellent Premier League player, but he's one of the best pressers in the Premier League. Like he actually, I think part of the reason why Brentford have been able to score these early goals 4 times in so far this season, a lot of it you can attribute it to Mbeumo's pressing. Of course, it's a team sport. It's a unit, how they press. But like Licha has something. He has his limitations at left back, but there's something different that he has with his left foot in terms of being able to find our winger. Like and if you look at, say, Dalot versus Licha at left back, Dalot usually has to go to his right. He has to go inside. He has to kind of like, push the ball inside to be able to find passing lanes. But Licha was able to open up like another passing lane with ease with his left foot, which is kind of now a little bit intriguing. I know he was just doing a job right at left back, but back to Stu's point of like, the 3-5-2 formation, like when you have Licha, Evans, and De Ligt, that sort of like allows many passing lanes to open up naturally without having to do much. And we know how much Ten Hag is reliant on building
right angles, left footed fullbacks, the right passing angles.
It offers.
So the question now is, where do we go from here, knowing that like
Licha is the left back? That's it. That's the solution.
Really, Jarvis, you wanna like go with Licha at left back now?
It's the only solution. It's the only solution.
I agree with Jarvis, Pappy. I think you're right. I think your point is on point. Your point's on point. There's 2 things for there's 2 things for that. Dalot, first and foremost, it should tell you how embarrassing that is that a professional footballer can't use 2 feet for a start. I mean, that to me is just unacceptable. I mean, fuck me. I just can't get my head around it. That's the first thing. But the second thing is perfectly warranted and perfectly agreeable, because Licha can open up a different angle, a different style of play, being a natural left footer. Mazzari gets in at right back. We know he's the comfortable right back. When you play a 3-5-2, and I go back to the beginning of the season when I envisaged how it would work, I was thinking, though, Pappy, at the time the transfer window hadn't closed, so I thought we would get a designated left back in. I thought we'd get a specialist left back in. So I was Licha left side, De Ligt right side, Yoro in the middle, because Yoro's a bit more of an elegant player. I'm not saying Licha and De Ligt are, but Yoro's the more elegant player. And I used Ugarte, but it could be anybody that could come and switch with Yoro to take the ball, to allow Yoro to move forward and create that extra space when needed and that little extra piece of attacking when you want. But anyone could drop in and play the 6 in a 3-5-2, and that's what people can't kind of grip. They don't get it. And this is where Jarvis, and I can see he's like me, he's like drooling over Rashford coming to get it, because with the point prove you are, because you're like me.
I am. I'm happy that we have other solutions.
Yeah, but the point you're trying to prove is it's a solution. You don't need an expert 6 to play with a 3 at the back. It's better to have a competent 6, but you don't need an expert, because what you're doing is filling a gap that needs filling, basically, with a body. With a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, Jarvis will tell you, Pappy, and you will know this, Tom will tell you, need a specialist 6. You've got to have a Rodri in there. You've got to have a Roy Keane in there, a Paul Ince in there, a Sanderberg in there. You've got to have an Amrabat. You've got to have a specialist. But actually, with a 3-5-2, you don't. It just needs a body to be able to receive the ball, or if Yoro or somebody progresses with the football just to sit in that particular area. But you've got two expert centre halves there. Do you see what I'm getting at? And that's the key element. You've got the expertise in the three. So you don't necessarily need the expertise. And this is why I know why Jarvis is doing it, because I never noticed it, and I wasn't looking for it. That's why I didn't notice it. I wasn't looking for it. Because it just, what you need is a player to receive the ball. And whether it's off Yoro or whether it's off De Ligt, or as you quite rightly said, Pappy, Jarvis, Tom, whether it's off Anana, it doesn't matter. It's all about reception. Taking the ball and being able to use it. And that's the key element to it. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing Rashford receive it in that day, because I didn't do it. But that's the beauty of three. And up top, and we're going to probably talk about Thursday.
We will come to the striker.
Yeah, but talking about that, but we've got a plethora, of great options to play in behind Højlund and make a two with Højlund. And we've got different types of profile for the first time. Xerxes, great profile. Tom explained it perfectly a few weeks ago. I think, Pappy, it was the week you weren't here. Tom explained Xerxes' position perfectly, how he plays and how he sees it. But you've got these players that can play up alongside Højlund. And I know Jarvis is going to bring it up, and I've been waiting for him to do it. Did you notice how freer Højlund became? How much more space Højlund had to work the back four? And that is...
We will talk more about it. I will bring up Højlund next. I just want to finish this build-up thing, and then we go to our attack. Because when we go to the defense, I just want to mention Tom talked about this when we talked about the Liverpool game. But because Liverpool were always in balance, because they had one of the fullbacks always covering the centre backs, and this is what we get with Licha as left back, because we have one defensive fullback who will always be there to cover for the center backs, and it makes us much more balanced. Do you agree, Tom, on this?
It makes you, I agree that it makes you more balanced, but it makes you a one-sided team, because then the only output that you're going to ever have is from one side of the pitch. Because if you flip it and you put Delo as that inverted player, and then Martinez operates further forward, is he going to overlap players like Delo does? No. Is he really going to have much of an input in midfield? Probably not, because he doesn't have the legs to get back. So you can look at it from two ways, guys. You can look at it how you guys have said, where it's going to improve you defensively, yes, but you're going to have to play that. You can only play one way then, and that's on one side, effectively, unless you're going to have Rashford, who's going to be the player that he was 2 years ago, and he doesn't need somebody to hold his hand behind him. He can collect the ball himself. He can drive with the ball. He can put balls in on the left-hand side, not the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, and he can do it all himself. If you get that sort of player back, by all means, you can go with this forward, and it'll probably work going forward. The only thing I'm going to say to all guys is the spanner will come into the works when you then have Luke Shaw fully fit, because you're at a crossroads with Martinez. And what I say is you either need to adapt him to play it full-time, or
at the moment he looks at our left
Jarvis,
back at the moment until we get players back. Yeah, of course.
No. But what I'm saying is you either need to adapt him to play it full time now, because we don't have anybody as it stands now. But you just said there, this is a solution to it for long term. So Luke Shaw, because he's not going to be able to stay fully fit, and Martinez is staying a lot more fit
Luke Shaw is done. He won't come back. He won't. Never.
No. But this is what I'm saying to you, though. Then Martinez is no longer a centre-back for us anymore. He has to be a full-back. That's what I'm saying. But you're going to have to balance it out. And there's a player who's done this before, a Dutch player who's done this before, in Daley Blind, where we bought him as a centre-half, we converted him as a left-back, but we lost all the attacking output on that one side, because the way LVG's team worked, it worked kind of similar to what you brought up with the graph before with the MW shape. The only difference was you didn't have this 3 at the back system with players. It was you had your standard 2 and he had a number 6 drop in. But the thing that David Blind was so good at was, because he was so intelligent with football and the football IQ, he was always in the right area of the pitch where he wasn't going to be a hindrance to his team. So if you got caught in possession, he wouldn't be in a terrible position to run back to his own goal. He didn't have the legs, but he wasn't as far away as, say, a lot more players are in modern day football, where it's you need to be all the way up to the byline and putting balls in the box. If you lose the ball as a fullback up there, you're in no man's land. That's what people say anyway. That's football terms. So yes, it can work in the short term for now. If you want to use it long term, you have to adapt Martinez to play it for the future. And I don't just mean until Shaw comes back or till Malacia comes back. I mean, you have to use it full time now. But if Ten Hag gets these players back, Jarvis, like he gets Shaw back and he gets Martinez back, or let's say he buys a left back in the summer, if he's still here and he can still improve on his team, if he buys a left back in the summer, he's not going to use this system anymore. He's going to go back to the same thing, which was 2 fullbacks, 1 inverts, 1 sits in. And is that fullback that we buy going to do what Martinez did in this game? Probably not, because he's going to be a player who he relies upon to go forward just as good as he is defensively. Yeah. And that's where I think is where what we're saying now is it's being balanced, is where Ten Hag has to look at it now and say, I either stick with this, and I have a tough love conversation with Leacher in my office, and I say, I don't want you to play centre-back anymore. You're going to be the first starting left-back, even when Luke Shaw comes back, and you're going to adapt to play that role. Or, unfortunately, you're not going to be my first choice in the summer when I sign a new player to play that way. So it's one of two ways, guys. He's got a choice. He can either stick with the balance that he's got now, or he can try and revert back to what he had before.
I think we get left back.
Anyway, I have to say I gotta leave you. Now. But it's not food related. It's not food related, Stu. I know. But guys, don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying this conversation. Make sure you subscribe as well. And I'm gonna be listening in from the comments. So I'll speak to you guys. I'll see you guys next Monday.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on.
I think we get left back in January. I think it'll be short term till January. I think we get left back in. Somebody's reliable, basically.
But and then when it comes to Ten Hag, when you go back to Ten Hag's Ajax team, because I've been trying to figure out why he always played with one winger who always tucked in and one who kept with, and he had Daley Blind as one of the left back, actually playing more centrally all of the time. But now I think I understand what he's trying to do, and I see sometimes in patches what we are doing, and we are playing in one side, but Tom mentioned he don't bomb on, so we don't attack one side. We switch play.
It makes you an imbalanced team.
We switch play, and then we go in. So it's more. It's not about going up and down. It's more about going sideways with Ten Hag. And then we attack.
But you can only go to one side. That's the issue that we're saying, though, Jarvis.
But we switch play. That's the thing.
But you can only switch play to one side because Mark Galloway is on the other side. That's what we're saying.
It's also worth pointing out that Daley Blind was a left back. He also played 6 to 12 games central midfield. Leacher played 6 to 8 games for Ajax at central midfield. So there's a similarity. That's what I think he's going to, if he does stick with, and Tom was right, by the way, if he does stick with Leacher as left back, that's going to be
I've got a funny feeling, guys, when Luke Shaw's back off the treatment table, he's going to use him again, because whenever he's had him and he's been fully fit, no, when he's had him though, Jarvis, he's been fully fit. He's used him. He has used him. Even when we had nobody to play centre half, he used him at left-sided centre back. What I would say to Ten Hag is, if you get Shaw back from wherever cesspit of a fucking medical treatment room he is, when you get him back, God forbid, if we get him back, what I said before about Luke Shaw, if he wants to prolong his football career, if I'm his agent, I'm his coach, I'm his advisor, whatever I am to him, his father, his wife, whatever, I'd just say to him, on a football term, if you want to prolong your career, because of the severity of the injuries you're having in the layover, you're going to have to adapt to a different position. And the best position you could adapt to is to be a left-sided centre-back. because his hamstrings cannot take running up and down a pitch on a side 90 minutes. It can't work. It can't. It doesn't work for him. He blows out hamstrings. He pulls ligaments. He's pulling something anytime. So, if he wants to prolong his career, he's shown that he can play left-sided centre-back and he's quite decent at it. Okay, it's against certain level of opposition, but he did do it against Barcelona, which I will give him credit for, when we played them away. So the only thing I'm saying is, if you adapt him to play that and you adapt Martinez to play left back, basically just switch them roles and let them be coached to be. Luke Shaw be coached to be a centre half, and Leach will be coached to be a left back. It's not going to be as bad. The only difference is, guys, that's if you want to actually use Luke Shaw or incorporate him. For what I see and what I've seen, guys, with Ten Hag, as soon as you get certain players back, it doesn't matter who's been playing well, what form they're on, or anything. He just puts them in there. I remember last season, guys, when we had all the injury crisis that we did. You got we had Kobe Mine, who was playing brilliantly in midfield. As soon as it come to a big game, I think we played Spurs and we drew the game. I think anyway. As soon as he got Casemiro back from injury, he put Casemiro in there instead of Kobe Mino, even though he was our star player for that whole season at that time. This is what I'm saying, guys. As soon as he gets certain players back, he just completely abandons what's been going well for him. If he doesn't do it, Jarvis, honestly, I'll give it. Yeah, he's probably got a chance of staying on and prolonging.
Yeah, you're probably right, Tom, when you're saying this. But I see a lot of solutions and how we can set up this team right now.
It's a solution, Jarvis. But the thing that I'm saying it right. This problem that we've had at the moment right now with this imbalance when we've had the ball and this hole in midfield, it's almost been like a disease. He's found a solution to the disease, but he's not found a permanent cure, because it's not permanent unless you make it permanent, is what I'm saying. So if he makes it permanent, okay, you've solved the problem. You don't need the spare man, like what we discussed about with Liverpool, where you have Casemiro drop off or Ugarte or whoever. You just have a fullback, just stay there completely, permanently, and that's it. You do literally what Arne Slot does at Liverpool, which is, Robertson, you don't go forward anymore. Your time going forward, you're done. Trent Alexander-Arnold's a far superior player to you. He's a lot younger, he's a lot fitter than you, and he doesn't get as much injuries as you. I'm protecting your career as well as adapting my team to get the best results. We, as a football club, have to look at this, and I'm not just saying this with Ten Hag. Dan Ashworth is in control of the sporting operation. You have to input this to the manager and say, if you want to use Luke Shaw prolonging his career, this is the medical advice we've got. But I mean, what medical advice is our medical team going to give him?
I don't think we will. I
don't think he will, though. I think he'll just go straight back to it.
I think he's gone, sure. I think he's gone. I think I'm with Jarvis on this one, Tom. I think he's gone. I think you're right. Definitely the summer, 100% new left back.
He'll be gone in the summer, but what I'm saying is when he gets him back from injury, he's going to use him again. I'm not saying that he's going to use him long term. He'll use him as soon as he comes back. And this solution that we've all saying that's quite good at the moment, he won't make it permanent. But I think he should. He should look at this with Martinez and say, do you know what?
Yeah, I agree.
When I play against top teams, like even when you get like Nathan Ake when he was at City, right? They bought him as a centre half. They adapted him to play left back. That's just one of the pointers that I'm saying. And what's Nathan Ake's nationality, guys? Dutch football players. The same what I said about David Blind. The same with Lissandro Martinez. Where's he been educated and he's had his best playing career to get to the club that he's at now? In Holland. Holland do this to players. They do it to midfielders. They do it to centre halves.
And Eddie Howe, Bournemouth.
They do it. Well, listen, Bournemouth's just the same thing, but they rotate all of these players. So sometimes, guys, you'll have a player who
and we have this guy coming back now. He's returning to individual training after his long injury. Jarvis, but we will have more options at centre back. That's the good thing.
Yeah, but I don't want this, Jarvis. I don't want this where as soon as he's back, let's just put him straight in there.
No, honestly, I'm not saying that. But we have options. That's the thing.
Johnny Evans for now. Johnny Evans is on good form. This kid, we don't know what his form is, what his fitness is, or anything. Johnny Evans is in front of him in the pecking order for now. Let the kid rehabilitate. Let him reacclimatise to the culture of the football club, the environment of playing first team training, his teammates, because he's not really worked with anybody, guys. He probably hasn't built a lot of relationship. He can't run. He couldn't run on that foot. He can't kick a football. He can't do fitness drills with any of the players. So he's probably not even built much relationships apart from when they go out for staff outings or player meetings, when they go for a Chinese in Manchester or whatever, pre-match or before a ritual during the international break. We can't have that liberty yet. He's not had that liberty and that luxury yet. So what I'm saying is, he's still young. He's come off of a big injury at the youngest time in his career. Let the kid have a bit of time. You've got a safety net with Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans is like your backup guy. He's your fall guy that you can fall on. He's reliable when you need him. He's a body, like we've all just said. He's just a body. Use him. But the thing that we all thought that Ten Hag was going to do with the Brentford game was, the rumour leaks was Johnny Evans was going to start at left back. That was the leaks. He didn't do that. He played him at centre half and he put Martinez there instead, who knows the role better. The difference is, why he doesn't just make it permanent, I don't know. If against Fenerbahce he puts Martinez at left back, okay, keep it consistently and let's see how he does against a different kind of opposition. Not one that's going to kill your legs and run at you, but who's going to sit in and try and counter-attack on you. How is he going to fare against that style? Is it going to work there? We don't know.
No,
the difference is,
different
you
games
have to
have
try
different outcomes. So
against different, you have to try that against different styles. Brentford, Peter in the chat, he put a comment in. He said Brentford vacated the midfield. They did. The reason why they vacated the midfield was because if they had a midfielder who was going to actually try and dictate play or create, where's he going to create it to? He's got three defenders in front of him in Martinez, DeLitt, and Johnny Evans. Where's he going to play the ball to? So, and Buemo is not going to be able to dribble past three players at once who are all competent-minded footballers, and they can all tackle. They've got a bit of bite to them to go into the back of you. What I'm saying is, if he adapts this now and he keeps it going, he's solved one big problem of the team, which is that big hole in midfield, and I'll give him credit for it. The second part of what he needs to build is he needs to now get this team consistently scoring goals with this new build-up play system that he has to break from a press. That's the bigger issue now, is we need to consistently score goals. And I'm not talking about one goal here, 2 goals against Brentford. I'm talking about 3, 4, maybe even 5-0 drummings of some teams. We could have done against Brentford. But
that's the next step, Tom. I think you're rushing it. First of all, we have to establish a style of play that's consistent, and we have to try to figure out what's our best starting 11.
This is what I'm saying, though, Jarvis. It's then, for one game.
This is where the build-up and the rebuild comes. Why it takes time, because it's baby steps, and sometimes the baby steps are backwards, or they're more giant steps.
I understand that.
It's like the stock market. You see, it's like this, but it goes up and down all the time.
Yeah, correct. Of course it does. But what I'm saying is, he's built a foundation now at the back where it works and it's a solution, but he has to make the decision to make that permanent. And if he makes it permanent, Jarvis, I'll shake the guy's hand. You've made a good decision, because it's something that's going to benefit us. And even from my position with Ten Hag, I will still give him the credit of saying he's improved something. He's done something different. And that's what I wanted. I want him to try something different, guys. I've been calling out for it for about 1.5 years since last season. Why he doesn't try something new and different? You've got nothing to lose but your job. That's it. You've got nothing to lose. So you've solved half of the problem. You've got a baseline now where you're not going to concede stupid amount of chances and stupid amount of goals, and there's not a hole in midfield. You've got now when you have the ball, you have that as a build-up base, so you can build the play up. The second part of that he needs to get with his team is he needs to get the build-up play to go from defence to attack quick enough so that you can transition on teams and kill teams off with chances.
But that's what we are doing at least what we did against Brentford, and we did it partially against Aston Villa.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
we couldn't
is
quite effectively take
what
it
I'm
out
saying,
in attack,
though, Jarvis, is
it
doesn't take the one thing I can say with that is, right, if we use, for example, Dino told me to say this to you anyway about with Maresca at Chelsea, right? As soon as he went in there, he's gone into a toxic environment with a club that they don't know what direction they're going in. They're buying a lot of. They've spent a lot of money, like we have, over a longer period. Though they've spent it in a shorter period. They're spending a lot of money on talent and players, He's gone in there and he said, look, I'm working with 22 players. I don't care about the rest of them. You can train with the reserves, do whatever. The first thing that he did was he put a baseline in of his back four and said, that's a stable back four that I'm happy with. It can control the ball. There's no spaces in behind unless you drag players out of position, which is natural for what teams try and do with their forwards. They try and create space by themselves. So what he's done then from there, guys, is he's built the baseline of the team. And now all of a sudden you're seeing Chelsea where they're just open playing. They can create chances willy-nilly, and they've got those sustained attacks. We are at the stage where Maresca was when he first walked through the door, which was create a baseline, and now then you need to progress it on so that you have sustained attacks. And sustained attacks for me, guys, is where you camp inside the opposition box, you're peppering balls in the box, you've got runners in the box, you're creating play, 5-6 passes, intricate play into the box, like what we did with the Rashford goal when we played Porto, for example, guys, when Eriksen played the brilliant ball out to him. Couple of 1-2s, little passes around the corner, flicks. That's what we need to see. That's the next stage of it.
Combination
so what
play,
I'm saying is, combination play. But what I'm saying is, we need to see this now. I would probably say by Christmas, because by Christmas that can be worked.
But we saw that, didn't we?
It shouldn't take years.
Didn't we see a little bit of combination play, trickery, flick-ons and stuff like that against Brentford? Because I see we are doing stuff that we haven't done before.
But this is against one stat. Yeah, what we've just agreed on, Jarvis, before was, like with the Martinez thing, it's worked against a certain style. Is this going to work against every... Like, for example, when you play at Fenerbahce on Thursday, you are playing a completely different team to what you play against Brentford. It is 10 men in front of the ball. They move side to side, shimmy to shimmy, and that's it. There's no spaces. There's no spaces to play flicks. There's no places to play tricks. You need a moment of brilliance from a player, a set piece, a penalty, or, guys, you just need what we've just said there, combination play. But every part of that combination has to work. Otherwise, you don't get inside that box. Because what we call it in football is, the Italians call it the siege mentality.
We've got to go
you
deep.
Have a line of 6 in front of the box. You don't get through it.
We've got to play
through it.
We've got to play. We've got to cross from deep. We've got to cross from deep.
You've got to cross from deep. But there's no point in crossing from deep if you don't have players running in the box. We've always said this, right? When we drop off 10 yards in the formation, guys, because we play against City or Liverpool, because we're inferior getting counter-attacked on, when we do that, when we're playing balls in from deep, you have one player in the box, and that's your number 9. And you have 2 centre-halves who can just marshal him off and do whatever they want to him. Bully him, stab him in the back, put the elbow into him, do whatever they want. That's it. But from what we're saying is, if he's built this baseline now, which like what Maresca did at Chelsea in a lot shorter time, with players, guys, who I remember are not his players, they have been forced upon him, a lot of those players. He's worked under a scrutinised football club where it's toxic. The environment of the club is terrible. The culture is probably similar to what we've got right now, where they're trying to change it, or the owners are trying to change it, like Ineos are trying to do with us. The difference is, he is a coach that he doesn't care about having a transfer veto. He doesn't care about the media duty side of it. He'll answer certain questions. He'll tell them to piss off at certain questions. He just wants to focus on coaching. Ten Hag needs to get back to the basis of what his job is. He is a coach.
But
he's
Tom,
not a PR guy. He's not
when it comes to new managers, I always say you got to give it more than 7, 8, 9 games, because it takes a little bit of time for other teams and other managers to learn how the manager plays, and then they will set up a counter play, and then you see if it's a good manager or not. If you understand.
But what I'm saying is,
you saw Postecoglou last season. Spurs were on top of the league after 7, 8, 9 games. And it went downwards because it takes, after a while, other teams figure out how they play.
The results have gone downwards, but the style hasn't, Jarvis, is what we're saying.
So you can have a plan, but everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's a famous saying from Mike Tyson. And this is why I will wait. I will hold my judgment on Maresca, because he's a new fresh manager into the Premier League. Same with the new Liverpool manager. Everybody is happy now, but give it a little bit of time. Suddenly,
But those
People will
managers have
figure
had
out
an
the
instant.
weaknesses, and the results
Those
are coming.
managers have had an instant impact straight away. The difference is it with what I'm saying is, where was this, what we've built now, this little baseline after one game? Where was this moment in that first season that we should have seen with this guy? It shouldn't have taken into season 3 for us to just see the basic, which is build a baseline to then move forward with. He's had players that he wants. He's had the same thing where he's had this transfer veto, guys. What you've just said there about with Chelsea and Ange, those two managers don't have this veto over players. They don't have these high-profile meetings with scouts or anything. They probably get a list of players, Jarvis, and say, "Give us a preference, and we'll work with that." That's it. Ten Hag, no, he wants to be briefed on what players we sign, who we're looking at, what we're scouting at. That's not what he should be doing. He's a coach.
Who blames him? He came in with under the Glazer reign. They were terrible.
That's what I'm saying. I understand under that, Jarvis.
Yeah.
But now that's not the issue. He now needs to go back to what he was good at, which is a coach. And this is where, when he had the success at Ajax, Jarvis, he had that structure in him that we all talk about, right? At Ajax, he was just the coach. He didn't want this veto on players. All he had there was he had a good relationship with Overmars and Van der Sar.
It's not even sure that maybe it's not Ten Hag holding back. Maybe it's Ineos holding back because they just renewed his contract. They didn't give him a new contract.
No, they triggered the option in his deal. They didn't. Yeah, but this is what the only thing that I'm saying.
So the thing is, we don't know all the facts behind this. It's a lot of speculations, and you're contributing negatives to Ten Hag that may not be true in a way. That's the problem. Yeah, about him sitting, holding tight to his veto and want to give it away and stuff like that, even though he's sitting under a footballing structure.
Jarvis, it's out there. They didn't have any leverage over him. Put it this way, if you're in Ten Hag's situation when they've gone and spoke to another coach, all these other coaches, right? Clearly they had an idea, or the plan, or an idea was they weren't going to stick with this guy, because you wouldn't speak to 5 different coaches if you weren't sure about Ten Hag. If you then go back to that guy after you spoke to all those 5 and you can't agree terms, or they don't want to come, or whatever, you're in a better position to negotiate than that club. If you want another $1 million on your contract, Jarvis, they'll give you another $1 million because they need to keep you, or they want to keep you after they've come to that conclusion. The same thing where if he says, I still want an influence in the transfer veto, okay, Erik, they're going to have to cede to him and give him that veto, Jarvis. They're going to have to, otherwise he wouldn't be here now. And this is why with Ten Hag, when he first came in here, guys, he had an offer to work under a proper football structure at a football club where all he would have had to have done was coach. And that club was RB Leipzig. And you look at what a lot of the coaches that have been through that Red Bull system have then gone on to do, or how progressive they've been as coaches. He didn't go to a well-run club. Instead, he come to Manchester United, which, as you said, had no structure and no backbone. Yep. But he wanted, because he couldn't trust the people above him, and I agree with you, in Arnold and Murto to do the decision for him. So he wanted the decision-making himself. This transfer veto, he still has it based upon the fact of the player profiles we have signed are still the same player profiles that we had before this Ineos regime came in. Because when we was linked in the summer, guys, when we were signing centre-backs like Martinez, De Ligt was one of the names that was mentioned that we could have signed way back then. The same thing when Chelsea nearly signed Ugarte in that window. We were chasing midfielders. Likes of when we wanted to bring in a new midfielder, we brought in Amrabat. Ugarte was a player Manchester United was looking at back then. What I'm saying is, this transfer policy that has been put in place now, you are not going to see the long-term work of Ineos until 3, maybe 4 windows when they bring in some of their players. Right now, they have to stick by Ten Hag because they wanted to throw this guy off the M25, but because they couldn't find anybody better, they've had to then go back to him. But because you go back to the guy, Jarvis, and he knows all this, he knows you spoke to all these other people.
Well, at least throwing him on the M25 was one of the options when they did their assessment, but gladly they didn't do that.
They didn't do that, though, Jarvis. No. Come on, we all know they didn't do that because they didn't agree terms with a certain German manager who now runs the England team. That's why. You don't fly a person out on a private jet and do all that, Jarvis, if you don't want to get rid of a guy.
Yeah.
It's like putting the red carpet out.
This Ten Hag debate, we have had it so many times. I just want to move on with the ideas and how we can fix the solution for the next upcoming game, because we have one topic that we haven't covered, and I just want to show you guys the Rashford build up, because Stu came in and talked about it. I just want to talk about the Rashford build up. The new Højlund, we have seen how he receives the ball, and then I just want to go quickly to Bruno and how we should play against was it Fenerbahce coming up now? Yeah, Fenerbahce on Thursday without Bruno, and then we will go to the Q&A. So we have to just go quickly on the time. Build up, Rashford. Stu, pay attention.
I am sorry. Yes.
Good. Okay, so here you go. You see here Brentford comes in a man marking. You see they have connections with oh, here it is, the connection with every player on the pitch. You see a Brentford player covering a Man United player. So we are under pressure in a way, and it's difficult for us to build up. The solution comes here. You see Eriksen moving up. He's jogging this way, and there's coming one the other way. It's Rashford, because he understands, because Brentford did something. They put a man on Bruno, so Bruno couldn't drop down all the time. That was that was the Brentford manager's reply to what happened. So you see here in the next picture, here we go. Evans playing the ball. The ball goes to. Oh, I will use the yellow. The ball goes to Rashford. And you see, as soon as the ball goes to Rashford, because Eriksen is on his way up, creating space, interchanging. This is what we're talking about. Fluid football, total football, as we probably know from the Dutch football. You see the guy who was covering on, I think it's Dalot.
Yeah.
He needs to apply pressure. The same here, you see Nørgaard creating space. So that Rashford actually have two options. You have Casemiro on this side and Dalot on that side. Now, so the next picture you see, he plays the ball outside to who is
you were played to Dalot. It's the right move.
Yeah, it's the right move. So easy. It's so easy and effective. It's not like playing out from the back, possessive, dilly-dally, 100 short passes, and then we move to the midfield. This is effective football. This is how I like possession-based, effective football. How we should do it.
And it's the thing is,
and you see here, I just want to finish with the last picture. You see here, Dalot is on the ball, and Rashford is moving in the right direction. And suddenly we have played over two Brentford guys who are tracking back because they know the press play is over.
Yeah,
this is effective, good football, and we can utilize it with both Bruno and Rashford.
It is, and that's the reason why the three at the back works effectively, and it will work. It could work against Fenerbahce actually on Thursday. And you're right. You know, they're going to sit in and they're going to try and get us on the counter attack, or he may well be bold, and he may hit us hard from the very beginning. But I actually think when you look at that, particular positional play, the way that Rashford was looking at, and trying to understand the game himself, that's something we've been crying out for 2 years from him.
Yeah. But it's not only Rashford, it's the maestro himself, the brain in this team.
Yeah.
Eriksen, understanding. Okay, now it's time for me to move up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm marked, so I can't do anything here. Find a new space.
And basically, players have got to understand, realise, and take the decisions themselves. They can't always be looking over to the sidelines waiting for instructions. You should be smart enough to be able to understand, see how the game's unfolding, and deal with it. And ultimately, we could have moved the ball another 3 yards. If you carry the ball in, we could run the ball another 3 yards, create even more space. For Rashford if we wanted to, but it was nicely done, and we attacked the space for Dalot. I mean, Dalot, had an okay kind of game, didn't he? Not a brilliant game.
Well,
But
I would say Dalot is utilized under Ten Hag at the moment more as a pawn.
yeah, he
He
is.
just
Yeah,
moves him inverted just to occupy space and create someone. So
yeah.
and now he utilizes him as a winger, but we don't use him as a winger. We don't play him. He's just
No, we
out
don't.
there to
I mean,
give space for Rashford because Rashford operates a little bit more centrally, and
yeah.
Dalot drags the left back.
I mean, Alien's talking about Alien Tano. Great to have you back, by the way. Is talking about spatial awareness. We talk about it all the time.
Yes,
That's what spatial awareness is. It's
Yeah.
great to see. It's about time. It's about time we've seen it. By the way, I think Ten Hag's preferred system is what you're seeing right now.
I hope so. I hope
That's
so.
what I think.
Yeah, and moving on to the next thing that really caught my eye was Højlund, and we talked about this. We have talked about this 100 times too, about how Højlund should screen, press the defender with the defender in his back, angle his body in a way, giving
Absolutely.
the defender. And we talked he had to evolve his play. We talked about so many
100%.
times last season.
Oh,
and now
crikey. We're on about it. We're on about it every time he played.
Yeah.
Every time he played, we were talking about his inability to hold the play up, his inability to, occupy
not
the
wrestle, just angle his body.
Yeah. All the time we spoke about his inability to do that. And all of a sudden, yesterday, wow. It was like the light switch had come on. It was brilliant to see. Sorry, not yesterday, Saturday. It was brilliant to see.
Yeah, and he was so good at it. He looked over his shoulder, angled his body in the right way. So when and after a while, the Brentford defender didn't even want to push him anymore. They just gave him space. They just gave up. They just stood back, so he could just receive the ball and turn with it.
Football's not difficult. We said this before. It's not rocket science, football. It's just a basic understanding of use your eyes, your ears, and your gob. Shout, scream, communicate. Use your eyes. What's happening around you, as Alien says, spatial awareness. What can you hear? I use my ears all the time. If I've got a player behind me, I listen and I try and find out where he is. I listen to his feet planted into the turf or on, and I can hear where he is. I can hear him coming at me. So you can just stop and elbow him if you want, or you can stop and let him run into you, or you can, move the ball. You've got to be able to listen as well as see. Honestly, our players, but they did. Everything we've been asking them to do actually on Saturday, they did.
Yeah,
they adapted to the game. They were angry. They were aggressive. And they thought, that's an injustice. We're going to deal with it, and they did. And they came out. And we should have won the game 6-1. Actually,
yeah. If we had any more technicality,
we should have won the game 6-1. Easy.
Stu, if you want to you can have a look at this one. Is it on screen? Oh, no, it's not. I just want to add it to the screen just to show Højlund one quick time for us.
Yes.
We'll play that without sound. So here you see the play, Højlund.
Yes.
Rolling off the defender. I just want to see it one more time. We can see it here.
That's because he knew where the defender was. It was a brilliant ball. Garnacho, should have done so much better. Let's talk about Garnacho's goal. I was critical of him, wasn't I, a few weeks ago when he hit Zirkzee. This time he elevated his shot. Brilliant. It's what you got to do.
Eight shots.
Really good. We had 8 good attempts. What you would consider.
Garnacho had 8 shots.
22 efforts on goal. We had 8 proper, what you would class as good, solid attempts. So we should have scored at least 6, in my opinion.
Yeah, at least 3.
City would have scored 5.
Yeah.
Liverpool would have got 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So we've got
this is our Achilles at the moment.
Yeah, it's our Achilles heel. I mean, if we get a 1-0 result against Fenerbahce on Thursday, it'll be a really good result. The fans won't like it, it'll be a really good result. But we need to go there and we need to win. And these guys have got to turn up on Thursday night in the same mindset. And I think he'll play the same. I think he'll play the same as he did against Brentford. And I think you'll see a much more fluid team. I'm looking forward to it Thursday.
Yeah,
Really looking forward to Thursday. Can't wait for the game.
So speaking about Thursday, because Bruno, this is the main topic of the evening. Bruno is not playing. You mentioned it last time. How are we going to play without Bruno? How do you see us play?
I think it's good for us. I think it's good for the fans to see Manchester United without Bruno Fernades, and I damn well think it's good for the club to see Manchester United without Bruno Fernades. And he's getting a lot of criticism this year for his inability to have an effect on the game at the moment. Like we've seen in the past, he's had this effect on the game. But you're dealing with a different type of Manchester United at the moment. It's a type of club, and it's a type of the way that we play he can't quite get to grips with. But he wants to play all the time, and I think it's great now that we can take him out of the equation, not have to worry about him. And if I'm Xerxes, I'm saying to Ten Hag this morning, Gaffer, we need a chat. Yeah. Bruno ain't around Thursday. I'm your fucking man. This is where I want to play. This is how I want to utilise me. I've sat and I've watched what we did Saturday. I reckon I can fit into that system perfectly, and here's how I want you to use me. Let me, give me that chance, because that's what you need. These players have got to be doing that. Eriksen, could we see Eriksen in his favourite number 10? Could that actually happen? Could we see Eriksen in that place, and then Agate probably?
I got to be honest, I wouldn't do it. Personally, I wouldn't do it, just because I think Eriksen needs to be the heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing particularly well. Could we see him there? Probably not. But he could start Agate, Casemiro, Eriksen. So, for me, I'd like to see Xerxes in there. I'd like to see Casemiro, Eriksen, and Xerxes. That's how I'd like to see it. With Xerxes playing higher up in this 9.5 hybrid role that he's got. And I'd love to see us really take it to Fenerbahce and not be scared to go and lose the game, because our problem is there has been times this year where, and in Ten Hag's career with Manchester United, where he's gone in afraid to lose a game of football. I thought Villa was one. I don't want to lose the game. I can't afford to lose the game, so I don't want to lose it. Porto, I thought we were brilliant. I don't care what anyone says. But the two goals the Porto striker put in were absolutely tremendous. That header, brilliant header. You can't have a pop at him. It was a great header, great finish for his second as well. These are good goals. You should never be upset about seeing good goals. And I think we can go, and I think we can beat Fenerbahce. So for me, I'd like to see Xerxes in there, Eriksen to remain as the 8, and it'd be Casemiro as the 6, and Evans in. As you quite rightly say, alongside De Ligt.
Yeah, do you think Eriksen and Evans are, they are in their 30s? Can they play another game?
But you're talking professional footballers here.
Yeah,
you're talking professional footballers here. There was a time last season where Eriksen makes 60 minutes. It's not happening now, is it? He's playing 90 minutes more often than not.
Yeah,
Evans can still do it, although he did go off with a pull, didn't he? I think on Saturday, Evans. So I think you've just got to get them on the table, get them massaged, not so much training. And if I was Ten Hag, I'd get flying out Tuesday, not Wednesday. Really acclimatise, and you're going to be in for a world of pain. I mean, crikey, I've watched Manchester United versus Galatasaray out in Turkey, and you're in a world of pain back in the 90s. Awful. Oh. Yeah, terrible.
Welcome to hell. You remember that banner?
I was there. I was
shaking.
I was there. And you've got all this, by the way. You've got all this. Yeah, I was out there. Yeah. And you've got all this issue as well.
We drew that game 1-1.
Yeah, we drew 1-8. We had the coach had the window broken, smashed. And at that particular time, Galatasaray weren't a brilliant side by any stretch of imagination.
They had Hakan Ziyech. The guy Hakan, the striker.
Hakan, it's not Ziyech. It was just Hakan.
No, Hakan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Dean Saunders was out there at that particular time. And around that time, we had a couple of English players go over, and they weren't brilliant, Galatasaray at all. But we just couldn't get to grips with them. The pitch was horrible. It was bobbly. It was bouncy. It was dry. To be an Englishman out there at the time was horrible. It was vile. It was terrible. It was not scary, but it was you were looking over your shoulder all the time. Some of the smaller villages in and around Turkey at that particular time, they were letting off fireworks, letting off flares. I mean, it really was welcome to hell. And Cantona couldn't believe it. And he'd seen it all, and he couldn't quite believe it. But it'll be a different thing. But I'll tell you what will be interesting is, though, you've got Mourinho, who's the ultimate in shithousery, and he will be absolutely doing this. He can't fucking wait till Thursday night. He just can't wait.
It's time to shine. Be back
into
the
his moments, and we've got to realise that. And this is how I am. We're in that dressing room today. We're talking about Thursday. Fucking get me on that plane tonight, because I'm going to fucking give it to Mourinho. I'm going to walk up to the fucking home fans and I'm going to fucking flick my V's at them, because there's nothing better than going into the lion's den, putting your head in his fucking mouth and spitting down his throat, because you come away with 3 fucking points, or you come away with a win. And that's what we've got to do. You've got to have that fucking aggression, that real anger about wanting to win. And you silence the crowd. You have to silence the crowd when you go away to somewhere like Turkey. So you've got to get in, smash them first. Give Fred a bit of a tickle as well. All right, Fred, give me a bit of a tickle. When he's out there, and that's what we've got to do. Make sure Amrabat is 2 foot in the air. Casemiro has given him one. Mr. Steele, lads, and all that kind of stuff. You've got to be super aggressive. You have to be. Otherwise,
but that sounds like a game for Ugarte.
Yeah, I think he might even play. Like I say, he could play Ugarte. If he does that, by the way, Jarvis, I think you see Eriksen in the 10. Because he's not. I don't think he drops Casemiro.
No, neither do I.
And I think if Ugarte comes in, it's definitely Eriksen in the 10. Or in that more advanced position. But he could do what I wanted to do, and I want him to play Xerxes up front, up top, actually as a double 9. I want him to play Xerxes and Højlund. I want to see that, because I think they could stretch the.
So it would be more like a 3-5-2.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see him stretch the 2 centre halves and give Eriksen. Now Eriksen's got the ability to shoot from distance. And cause some damage. So that's what I really want to see. But and then that means playing, 3 at the back. So it could well be we see Leach, Evans, and I don't think he will, by the way. I don't think he'll do this. But you could see Leach, Evans, and De Ligt, Mazzari.
Hopefully Evans will be back. But if he's out injured, we're running out of options. We have Lindelof.
No, I think Mazzari plays and Leach comes in.
Masraoui is back.
I think that's how he. I think that's how he does it. Wedgie Jose, absolutely fucking right. Alien Tello, Wedgie Jose. Those will be the days. I just feel that you can't piss about with a game like this. You can't fuck about, because Mourinho will be doing absolutely fucking everything to beat us. That's the way he's looking forward to. So.
Our away record in Europe hasn't been good under Ten Hag. I think we have won 2 games, or overall we have won 2 games in 10, I believe, last 10 in the Europe under Ten Hag. We have been struggling, and the funny thing is we have been up in almost every game with a couple of goals. We were 2-0 up against Porto last year. We were up against, I think it wasn't it Bayern we were up against? Copenhagen.
We played Copenhagen. We were better at Bayern than the scoreline suggested. We scored 3 goals, remember, against Bayern. Copenhagen, we were poor. Porto, I thought, 3-3, people are whinging about it. I think it's a great result. I really do. I think, I think look, you've got to turn the tables at some point.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would actually like us to, I don't know, but I like the 3-5-2. But let's say we go out in a 4-4-2 formation as we have been doing.
Yeah, that's what he'll do. He'll do
double pivots. I think I would like to see Ugarte play besides Casemiro and Eriksen roaming around, doing his thing, being the brain in the team. Who will be the number? Play with Højlund.
I think you've got to try Xerxes. I think you've got to do it. You've got, the guy's used to European football, so play him. Give him a shot. You've got to give this kid a go. He's a very talented footballer. We can see that. He's not
but I feel the tempo of the Premier League has been a little bit too high for him.
Yeah,
it looks a little bit slow. He looks a little bit too big.
He's just a bit laboured in the Premier League. But I'll tell you what, when he plays for Holland, he's a different player. And I think you could see a different.
But the tempo won't be as high as in the Premier League when you play in the Europa League. So maybe that's his stage.
Yeah, we've got to get at them. You've just got to get at them. So that's what I would do. Right, friends, I'm going to have to shoot in about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Let's just jump to the Q&A.
We've got a Q&A.
The show. Yeah. Time is flying. We are 2 hours 15 minutes into the show, so
I can't believe
let's try to do the Q&A on 15 minutes, guys. Get your questions in. I will play the intro for the Devil's. No, not the Devil's Advocate.
You don't have to answer the question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Roll up, and welcome to the Q&A part of what is Jarvis's Corner. First of all, most thank you for hanging in there with us. It is 2 hours 15. I think it's been an excellent discussion, football related, and the VAR room's been going off as always. So big thank you to all of you. My old mate Trevor's been in there rinsing me, and Elite Ball has been rinsing me as well. Love it when I get rinsed, you know that, guys. And I do shave with sandpaper. Elite Ball, you're absolutely right. I am that tough. I do shave with sandpaper. No problem at all. So thanks for that. Anyway, look, we got some questions in. Not a huge amount. Trev's been in with quite 3 or 4. I think there's a serious question in there somewhere from Trev. I just need to dig it out. That's what we can do. Thank you again to the legend who's Rashmana for your gifts and your offer of a ticket, by the way. Thank you for that. That was very, very kind. And thank you for the donation towards the channel. Guys, there's been hundreds of you watching all night, and we're on less than 50 likes. Now, liking and subscribing to our channel really helps the algorithm. So please try and get us to 100 likes. Also, comment after the show. Jarvis loves your comments after the show, and we'll always reply to and talk to you about that. So please do that. So I've babbled on enough. First question is, and it's a good question by Ian. Hope you're still with us, Ian, by the way. Why can't we use a left back from the academy? He had been brought into the squad, but then got sent back. Anyone know why? I believe he's probably talking about Harry Amos. I believe he's talking about that. Jarvis, would you like to have a go at that?
Yeah. I've been thinking the same. Why don't you just play a regular fullback when we do have a fullback from the academy, and we have the academy for occasions like this when we have injuries and when you need. Maybe it's because we were in a stage at that time. Now we won the last game, but we are still under scrutiny. So the pressure will be a little bit too high, and maybe they don't want to hang a young player out to dry. We know this fan base. Some of them are really vocal and can go off on these young players, and we want to try to protect them. And it's also the timing has to be right. We have to bring in the academy players when they're bubbling, when they're in fully fit form and are really at their best. Maybe it's not the right time for Harry Amos at the moment. I don't know, but I agree. It's a good thought, Ian McDonald. Harry Amos is an option. Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jarvis. I think in the past, when players have come into the first team environment, unfortunately, we've got to go back to Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't want to keep harping on to that. We've had, other players come in, but it's a lot easier for a player to come in with more of a well-oiled squad and a well-oiled way of playing. It's very difficult, and it can be quite impressionable on a young player as well. So Harry Amas absolutely is a wonderful talent. And I think he's got a bright future, but I'm not really sure right now is the right time. So I tend to agree with Jarvis on that one. So, Ian, I hope that's answered your question. I think the gaffer's been on.
Oh.
He's read a report that Tyrell Malacia won't be playing until next season. Is that true? Tom, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm back now, yeah.
Ah, good. Yeah, one for you now, Tom. This one?
I've not heard anything about that he won't play until next season. I've not heard anything about when he is going to play. I've not heard anything about what's wrong with him. All I've seen is a couple of pictures where he's been out in Marcus Rashford's McLaren 316, in and around Manchester, shopping, socialising. I've seen him do a couple of training drills individually on Manchester United's pitch, and that's about it. Not a clue. But the fact that the medical department don't want to publicise what's actually wrong with him, or there's not been a statement about it, I think speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you on that. And
silence is a lot worse than actually saying something.
Yeah, silence is a golden on this account, is it?
Mm.
On this page, is anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, look, thanks for that, Tom. Mick, I hope that's answered your question. I think it's a tricky one as well. I mean, if it was me, I'd keep him out to the end of the season. Seriously. I think he needs to get himself way past 100% to be.
Yeah.
Mick, I hope that answers your question. I know you are in with a couple of other questions, so that would be ideal. Let me just go through Trevor's multitude of questions here. Okay, his first one is, what's my Halloween costume likely to be this year? Last year was a ballerina and a tutu. Trevor, I don't know where you saw that picture from, but I told my mates keep it off social media. Clearly they haven't done that. And so what would my Halloween costume be this year? Well, my family always say, you're constantly in a Halloween costume, you ugly bastard. That's what most of my family say. But this year, Trev, I don't know. I'm thinking I might go in my a 1970s football kit. Now, if you're old enough to know what a 1970s football kit is, you'll know how possibly disgusting that sight might be. Shorts are very tight and short. Tops were tight and were abysmal. So I might go out as a full kit wanker in a 1970s.
You can glue on some sideburns, and
I got some sideburns.
Paint your front teeth black so you look like.
Yes, that's it. I'll look hard. I'll look.
Joe Jordan look like.
I hope that answers your question. Let me see what else you got, Trev. Okay. So there's some good questions there from Trev. So we'll go back to him after that. I thought he was going to rinse me for most of them. Yeah. So Paul S. I hope you are still with us, Paul. With Shaw, what is Shaw's problem anyway? A sore muscle. I might take that if you don't mind, guys. One thing, although we're very critical of Luke Shaw, and actually we're entitled to be critical of Luke Shaw because of his inability to stay fit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to really recover 100% from a horrific leg break that he suffered. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have come across David Buse recently and played against him. And if you all know the horrific leg break that he suffered, never played the game again. To see Luke Shaw playing again is a miracle by itself. But one of the issues you have is mental, worrying about taking the pitch, worrying about that tackle, worrying about getting your studs caught, worrying about anything, being tackled so hard that you fall into the boards. But what it does to a leg injury of that nature, it weakens your whole body, but it also weakens your opposite leg as well as the leg that you injured severely. And that is the issue that Luke Shaw will be having, unfortunately, is that his body and both his legs will be that weak because one of them is being overused all the time. And what I mean by that is if he's got a hamstring injury in his left leg, his right leg is being overused. So the chance of you getting a hamstring injury in your right leg are quite high. Now, you may well think, well, surely that's what physio is for. That's what our medical department are for. But as Donna Jarvis quite rightly said, you laugh when you say Manchester United and medical department in the same phrase. So, look, I'm hugely critical of Luke Shaw. I think he should have hung up his boots 2 years ago. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I think he should have retired and gone into his coaching badges. We're having the same issue with Mason Mount for whatever reason. Well, I think Mason Mount's just weak as an individual and doesn't want to play. I don't believe Luke Shaw's weak as an individual. I think he wants to play, but is that one tackle has kind of ruined his career, basically. And so, in my opinion, he should have retired a couple of years ago. Paul, if you're still with us.
Jarle comes in and says Shaw has a calf, shin, heel injury.
Yeah, and that's what that is. That's exactly what that is. It's just a weak. It's just weak. So if your calf goes, I promise you now, you'll have a shin injury, you'll have a heel injury, and you'll probably have a hamstring trouble. If you think about your calf, if you can't put your foot and have all your weight on your calf, you're overusing the opposite leg. And ultimately, Paul, that's what it is. So I hope that answers your question. Trev, we've been through that. My Halloween costume. You're going to love it when you see it, pal. Trev has come up with a decent question, Tom, one for you. Do you think Agate is a Ten Hag signing, as he's abandoned him almost immediately? And as you know, signings are issuing constantly. That's a good question, actually.
I think he is, based upon what I said earlier in the stream when we were chasing midfielders and we ended up getting hammered about on a obligation to buy, option to buy, whatever it was, loan. Because we didn't have the money to buy a midfielder. Agate actually went in that summer to PSG. Chelsea wanted him. We supposedly wanted him. We didn't have the money then. So the common denominator is who was the manager at that time, Ten Hag, and the football structure that bought him under this window wasn't in place by then. So by that logic, I would say that he is the Ten Hag signing because, as we know, with this transfer veto that Ten Hag has over players, and he didn't trust the old structure, which we've all agreed upon. That's why he wanted this transfer veto in the first place, because he didn't trust the people who was above him to get the players in that he wanted. That's why I believe Agate was probably one of his players and his signings. And at the end of the day, I always say this: top level football. If a manager doesn't give a sign off on a player, it's very rare that it doesn't happen. The only club that I think you could maybe make a case for that hasn't happened in recent time is Chelsea, because I don't think any of the coaches or managers have an influence on who they buy or where they buy them from or whatever. The rest, at the end of the day, he's got a squad of 40 players. He probably only names about 20 of them. that's just the fundamentals of it. But no, I do think he's a Ten Hag signing. And do I think he's abandoned him almost immediately? Well, if we're going down this Martinez, is this sort of solution to the problem, then Agate was supposed to be that solution when we bought him, wasn't it? So
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. You might be able to find a new role in the team for him. Me personally, I don't see why you couldn't play him as number 8 and let him carry the ball. He's proved that he can carry the ball quite well when he come on. Same thing against what I understand the level of opposition against Barnsley. Carried the ball quite well in that game as well.
He did.
You know, you can't spend £50 million. We said this about when we bought Mount, guys. You can't spend £50 million to have him sit on the bench. You've got to do something with him. So we have to. He has to use him in some way. It's a player that he wanted. It's a player the club has bought. So whether it's Ten Hag signing or not, you know, the club are going to put pressure on him to use him because either they've bought him as a club signing. Or it's Ten Hag's player, so the club are going to put pressure on him because why we spent £50 million on a player you're not wanting to use? So he's got to do something with him.
No, agreed, Trev. I hope that's answered your question. You are in with another one, and I know you guys have already spoken about this, so I've never actually given my viewpoints on this. And what do you guys think of Sir Alex Ferguson news? Do you think it was a joint decision, or was it taken out of his hands? Look, there's a couple of things. Fergie's 84, 85, something along those lines. So if I was him at that age, I wouldn't want to be traveling the world to represent the club. Is it the right thing for the club? You have to move on, guys. I'm sorry, you have to move on, and as rightly so and rightly lauded Sir Alex is,
by the way.
He's 82, yeah. As rightly lauded as Sir Alex is, and he will go down as the greatest manager Manchester United have ever had, and rightly so. You can't live in the past. Unfortunately, we live in the past way too much for this football club, and you've got to start living in the future. Yeah. And some might argue saving £2.8 million a year, could we have saved 100 jobs? Maybe 200 jobs. It's not the point. That's not what it's about. It's about a point where you've got to start thinking that Manchester United are going to be here for the next 100 years, not the past 100 years. It's the future 100 years. And Sir Alex won't be around for that. He will get his statue. Rightly so. Rightly so, we will get his statue. But I think it was the right move for both. I actually think it was the right move for Sir Alex as well. Yeah. And I think it's the right move for both. And I know everyone...
Yeah, I mean, Stu, even what you've just said there, right? He's had this ambassadorial role for 11 years since he retired as a coach.
Exactly. Yeah.
£2.5 million over 11 years. That's 27.5 million pounds.
Yeah.
On an ambassadorial contract. You can take the example for this. FSG used Kenny Dalglish as an ambassador for Liverpool Football Club, but they don't pay him.
That's it.
He does it as a luxury and as a liberty. He attends any game that he wants for free, travels with the playing squad whenever he wants, if they go abroad to Europe, gets liberties to go to the training ground whenever he wants, does media days and promotional support for the club. That's it. But he doesn't get paid for it, per se. He's given his service to the club. The best thing that you can do for a manager who serves you like that is you welcome them back and you put everything on for them. Roll the red carpet out. If Jurgen Klopp ever goes back to a Liverpool game, it's the same thing. Will Jurgen Klopp get an ambassadorial role at Liverpool? Will they pay him for it? Probably not. And that's the short and bottom of it. But look, we said this about when we were saying about with Roy Keane coming in the dressing room with that, bump the players or change the culture of the club. Fergie's the same thing. You're telling me Fergie's probably not been down to that dressing room for 11 years? Yeah, exactly. Behave yourself. When they've won the FA Cup final or something, he'll have been in there. But listen, he's a figure. He's a figure of a football club. But figures of clubs shouldn't be paid based upon ambassadorial roles. He's done his business as a club. He's a multi-millionaire as a manager for this football club. So at the end of the day, you've cut one of the things that I would say, though, guys, just to keep it short anyway, they've cut the gag money away from Sir Alex Ferguson. So if he wants to say anything about the Glazer family or the time at this club, he's no longer being paid off anymore.
Speak up.
So if he wants to say anything, he can say it now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Trev, I hope that answers your question. I know you've got one more, but I want to move on to the gaffer, and this one's for you, Jarvis. If anger is the fuel, what did we feed those players before? Who the fuck put sugar in the petrol tank?
Dodgy Dave and the Inhalers, what did we say?
Yeah, well, yes. You'd think we'd have a decent medical department with Dodgy Dave, wouldn't you? Yeah. Jarvis, what do you make of that? It's a tongue-in-cheek question, obviously.
Yeah. A quick response is when it comes to the mind and how we operate. When we become nervous and we feel pressure and we feel we have to perform, and I think a lot of the players feel that way. Anxiety is the name. Yeah. The opposite emotion of anxiety is anger. Yeah. So if you're ever anxious, just be angry, and the anxiety will go away. So the pressure to perform and all of that went out the window. The players got focused, anger. And I know myself, a lot of the times when I was a footballer, I felt a little bit nervous before the games. I sat in the locker room. I was just like, come on. Oh! and listen to like heavy metal, rock music, death metal, whatever, just to get myself pumped up for the game. And all the anxiety, all the nerves, everything went out the window. So yeah, we should maybe work on this, on a mental game. Try to get the players up to speed because we have to be ready when that whistle goes. We can't be anxious. We can't be nervous. We can't be thinking of consequences. We need to just get out there and get on playing the game.
Yeah, totally agree. Mick, that's answered your question. By the way, I play my best game when I'm fueled with anger. That's my best game. I look forward to my first duel and then many more throughout the game. I really look forward to it because that's what keeps me sharp and focused. There's a question here, tongue in cheek, by DJ Superfly guy. He says, when is the Christmas special? Streaming in a local Manchester pub with Stu and Alien Tenno spearheading the show. It'd be great if Jarvis could make it. We've not discussed the Christmas special yet, but I do know that Jarvis has got some plans for a Christmas special. All will be revealed when he's going to reveal that to myself, Tom, and Pappy, and me, I would imagine, but all to be revealed. Couple left, which will split between the three of us. Tom, we kind of covered this, haven't we? But I think you were away on your.
Did get Tom's answer,
yeah. Question, Tom: who would you play instead of Bruno on Thursday?
Eriksen.
That's what I said.
Eriksen. I won't play anybody else.
Yeah, that's what I said. But Jarvis had a more of a different opinion, didn't you, pal?
Yeah. I was just thinking that it's hard to take away Eriksen because now he's like the regista of our team, and if we put him higher up the pitch, we have to rely on someone else to do his job in the 8. Who will play the number 8 then? Because we have 2 number 6. We have Casemiro and Ugarte. Can any of them fill Eriksen's shoes?
Ugarte, put him as a number 8 then, and play Casemiro. And then you've got 2 players who know the 6 role, but then if you need to drop off into a low block or a mid block, 2 number 6s who know that role, it seems quite good. But the thing is, we did that against Barnsley and we won 7-0 when we played those 3.
Yeah.
So I've seen it work before where Ugarte's played the number 8 role. So that's where I probably would say that you can probably fill in there, but I think Eriksen, for me, with what I saw with that Porto game and most of the season, guys, I think he's been the best player.
By an absolute
most improved player.
Eriksen or Evans, for me.
Yeah, both of them too, but Eriksen in particular. Mick, thanks, Tom. Mick, that's answering your question. We've got 2 questions to go. Jarvis, you're going to have the final question because it's a bit of a doozy, in my opinion. So I'm just going to quickly answer Mick's question because Mick's come up with a nice one. Are we starting to see the Van Nistelrooy influence on the front line? I've got a very short answer to you on that one, Mick. Absolutely. I think we are starting to see more. Some of the finishing of the goals we have scored, not the ones that we've missed, has been absolutely clinical. The Højlund chip was Van Nistelrooy-esque. The way that he glided in and the way that he just lifted it over was brilliant. The Garnacho volley, again, kind of Van Nistelrooy-esque. If you know your Van Nistelrooy repertoire of goals, they weren't his bread and butter, those, but he scored a fair few of those particular ones. You're starting to see movement, discipline, and a real kind of hunger from Højlund in particular. So it's a very short answer, Mick, but the answer is absolutely 100% we are. So, Jarvis. Well. What
you got for me, Stu? What you got?
I've got an absolute perler for you. And it's from Trev. And Trev has come up with a really, really, really good question.
Okay.
And Tom will be grinning at this. I'm sure he is. Do you think with this squad, any other manager would have done a better job? Or is Ten Hag being handicapped as a manager? That's probably one of the best questions we've had for a long time. So thank you, Trev. I can't believe I'm actually giving you some credit. But thank you, Trevor, for that question. Well, Jarvis, good luck on that one, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm afraid to answer this question because I know it will create some debate. And as you have probably noticed, I'm somewhat of a Ten Hag supporter in a way, and I like what he's trying to do as a manager. But I know it's difficult because of this squad. We have tried other managers. We have tried astute managers like Van Gaal winning everything in football. The same with Mourinho. We have tried the buddy in the locker room, the legend of the club, Ole. We have tried so many different things. We have tried the godfather of gegenpress to replicate Liverpool. That went down the shit, down the drain. So I don't know. Maybe now under the new structure, a different manager could work better. But I think we have gone this far. I just want to see us finish it and go out the season. But to answer your question, maybe in a manager bounce way in a short run, a new manager can come in and create better results. But I think we will be back at the same stage if you give it 2 years. That's the problem. So I just want to see us through this patch, through this what do you call it, when everything goes down, and I think we will rise again and come up out of it. But we need to go through this. We need to go through this to evolve as a club. We need to do the tough decisions. We need to get rid of the highest paid players. We need to get rid of player power. We need to get rid of the old regime trying to influence everything. That's not the way Ferguson used to do it. We need to get rid of the money culture. There's so many things with this club. So we need to install a new mentality, and it can only be done by some consistency and longevity, I believe. And to change a culture takes a lot of time. So for me, no, not in the long run. I don't think anyone could do a better job.
That was a very well structured answer, Jarvis. Well, Tom, what do you think? I thought it was a really good answer.
What was the question, guys? Because I did just do something quickly.
Yeah, so Trev was wondering, where were we? Let me get the question. Yeah, Trev was wondering, do you think the squad with any other manager would have done a better job, or is Ten Hag being handicapped as manager?
I'd probably say if we're basing it off of the start of the season, other managers have done a lot better and progressed a lot better with far less time and resources at their disposal. I've already used the Maresca example. There isn't asked me to say that to you guys anyway about it, but how quick he's gone straight in there. He's got a team playing a brand of football that everybody's excited about, and they can go to, say, Liverpool away and they still play the same way. Whereas if we go there, we just go back to the basics of let's just not concede 4, 5, 6. Let's not try and play in the way that we want to play. Let's just play a way that's going to nullify Liverpool, and we bow down to clubs. And if I look at it from the squad that we've got, the results haven't been good enough. 7 games that you sit. Well, I was going to say 10th. We're not even 10th after what Bournemouth did to Arsenal. But even if we want to say it for that, it's not good enough for the start of the season. And at the end of the day, they've prolonged it on now. If you get to the next international break and you're still in the same sort of position, they probably will end up making a change. Do I think that there's a couple of managers out there that I think with this squad might do a little bit better? Yeah, I do. But do I think that Ten Hag's been handicapped as a manager? Not necessarily. Listen, he brought a lot of these players in, as I said before about the transfer veto. Over those 2 years, I'm not going to forget those first 2 years when he was here. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. I'm not that sort of person. He's been here 2 years. He's bought a lot of players while he was here. Yeah, he's got a new structure now, but this new structure now that's watching over of him, he's not got a lot of results under this new structure. And still, the transfer policy looks like it hasn't changed since when it was before. They've just bought the players that he's familiar with, but also align with a few future plans if Ten Hag's not here. They've still got something that they can give under a new manager. But look, if he sticks by his principles and dies by them, what more can you ask for the guy? But
Exactly.
He's not prepared to do that. So if you want to overcompensate for it, then yeah, I probably think there is better managers out there that I think can get better results or do better than what he's done right now. But listen, Ineos have made this decision by themselves. So if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, and I'm not going to say I told you so, but I'm just going to say that based upon the results of it, I want Manchester United to succeed. And I don't think in the failings. I don't think in the failings of 7 games, especially for the Premier League, 8 games now, sorry, but in the space of the Premier League, it's good enough for what we should be at with the squad that we've got.
Mm.
And that's why I think there is better managers out there that probably would have got more points and done a bit better. But the bigger thing for me has always been that the style of play sticking point. And if that's what we saw against Brentford, if he keeps it up, by all means. But I don't want to see it for one. And I've said this before. I don't want to see it for 1 half of football. I need to see that for a consistent 90 minutes, week in, week out. If he does it, I'll give him his plaudits. If he can't do it, but that gives you your answer of, do I think there's another manager out there or not? Because other managers can do it for 90 minutes.
Well, we'll certainly find out Thursday. Again, it'll be another stepping stone towards it. Trev, I hope that's answered your question. It was a really good question, mate. Got to say. So, and 20 quid. You must be joking, fella. I'm 100 quid at least. Come on now. You should know better than that, pal. You should know better than that. That kind of, I'm going to hand over to Jarvis in a minute to wrap up the show. Just want to say a big thank you to the hundreds that watched. Please like, as we say, because it really does help the algorithm. Jarvis explained a bit more about that. And thank you to all the guys in the VAR room. You know what it's like on a Monday in Jarvis's Corner. We love you and we really want to interact with you, but we just get wrapped up in football conversations. So, but all
you read the comments. I read all the comments. Yeah,
all your comments we read all the time, and we think they're brilliant. They're all football related, and are great as well. So, thanks for the rinsing, Trevor, and Elite Baller. Wouldn't be the same if you didn't. So, anyway, I'm going to hand you back over to Jarvis, who will close out the show.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back in the
hot seat,
driver's seat, the hot seat. Yeah, there's nothing more to say. I think we have had the brilliant footballing debate. There is some news, but go to Twitter, you will find the latest on everything. So because we are a little bit shy on time, 2 hours 46 minutes. Always. We do almost a 3-hour show. So thank you everybody for tuning in, following us, listening to our takes on Man United and football on in general. Thank you to Tom for coming on. Thank you for Poppy. Thank you, Stu, for being my co-host and the boss of the Q&A. And Mick, Trevor, Jale, Alien, Peter, DJ Superfly.
Superfly guy.
Yeah, the DJ Superfly guy.
Legend, Rush Mano.
And Rush Mano, gifting 10 pound super chat and 50 new members. Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Stephanie Griffith's been in the chat, hasn't she?
Yeah. And he offered his ticket as well, guys. He offered his ticket for that game as well.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. That. Absolutely amazing.
And 147, who is very critical to me on my Ten Hag takes. But, at the end of the day, we are all Man United supporters. And I love challenges and different opinions. And everybody's free to come with their opinions. Mr. B, less so, Ian McDonald, all the guys, Story, Wizard, everybody who contributed with questions. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Stu. Thank you, Tom, for sticking with me for all this time. And we will try to be back next Monday. And hopefully we will win on Thursday and see more of the Ten Hag football that we want to see, and West Ham on Sunday. And we will have a lot to talk about next Monday. So see you guys and have a good one.
All the best.
Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV.